Welcome back to it's not Straight Facts, it's a Top 6 show. I was the wrong day. I told you guys I felt out of sync, right? I felt out of sync. Welcome back to the Top 6 show. It was an amazing weekend. It truly was, of Premier League football. We're going to be unpacking that all right now and getting some little previews in ahead of a jam-packed midweek fixture list for the English Premier League as well. We have a brilliant panel for you, including backed by popular demand Double A. My brother Tom Little is here, fresh from his win over City yesterday. Nobbins is here, and I love the fact that he has concluded that Manchester is red by making his room red today. Kate is back with us again, looking lovely and glamorous as usual. And Kundle is here, the Niger Englishman, back again with us to represent Arsenal. I think Staffy is going to be joining us a little bit later on the show. Not too sure where he is right now, but how are we all? Everyone well? Everyone good?
I've been worse.
Oh, good.
I've been worse.
Sensational, Terry. Sensational.
3-point collectors, so everything's good.
Must be nice.
Mate, Man United is I'm calling us FOURmidables this weekend. We're FOURmidables. That's what we are.
FOURmidables, even better.
Big up, Kate, man. Big up, Kate.
Thanks.
Right.
Sorry, Kate. I didn't mean that.
Hey, they drew. They did pick up 8 points. They are a point collector.
Well, there you go. A point collector.
Yeah.
Better than nothing, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I know, and what a difference a week makes for Spurs. A week ago, they were on top of the world after beating the current champions and 4 Peters. A week later, they dropped points to a depleted average Roma and Fulham. What a difference a week makes in the world of soccer. Loads to talk about today, loads to break down. Here he is. He's a little bit late. Staffy is here with us. What we're going to try and do, we can't get all the winners on the top, though, because we can only have 4 on top. So, yeah, Staffy's late, so we can stay down there with the losers for a while. You're right, Staffy.
We didn't lose. Can I just say, we didn't lose.
We could just losers in general.
That's abuse.
Yeah, Kate, in honest with you, Kate, the only thing in your life you've ever won at is getting gym. Getting your husband's the only thing. Outside of that, loser.
Wow.
No, my son is pretty amazing as well.
That's all connected. That's all connected to Jim, though, isn't it? That's all. I guarantee you, it's Jim's seed. He looks like Jim, doesn't he?
Yeah. All right, I'm a loser. All right, I'll take it.
You know, I'm only joking, Kate. You know, I love you loads. Loads to talk about today. But look, listen, I want to go to Double A first. Man United yesterday. The media are playing it down, saying we were average. We were really quite poor. There was no real improvement. But United scored 4 goals. A brace for Xerxes, a brace for Rashford, a brace of assists for Ahmad. 4 points away from a European position as it stands right now. How impressed were you yesterday with the performance from Manchester United?
Just before we start, Kundle, I'm going to say some good things about United players, right? So that doesn't mean I think they're going to win a Ballon d'Or or we're going to get top 4, but it just means in the context of the game, they were okay.
Appreciate that.
I'm just letting you know, just so next week you're not like, yeah, but you said this about, you know what I mean? I think it was okay. Yeah, it was okay. I think the first half an hour, 35 minutes, we were bang average. I think we actually made Everton look quite good when really, in reality, they're not at all. But I think that's my biggest takeaway from that, because I think under the previous manager, a game like that probably goes out of our hands and we possibly lose to Everton, because I wouldn't have seen a way back. But whether this is the manager now instilling this belief in the players to come back and fight and get a result at home, you know, the crowd were buoyant anyway. But I think, you know, they stood up to be counted. And yes, it's only Everton at home. Yes, we should be beating teams like this. And, you know, the manager come out himself and said, it was okay. But I think we were better on Thursday. And that's the things I want to hear. Striving for perfection, even though we know it's not attainable, so to speak. But he wants that every single game. And the 4-0 means nothing because it's about the performance. And the performance was good enough to get the 3 points. And that's the biggest takeaway. And the fact the players stood up and, you know, shown some ball, so to speak.
No,
To be
I
fair,
agree.
it was only Everton, and we beat Everton 4-0, so let's not get
Well, there
carried
you go.
away.
There you go. If losers could beat Everton, then we could
Exactly.
beat them.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that sort of Sky Sports pundits sort of, whenever I can understand some people love to use XG. Some people, it's not like their religion. And I think it does show an element of quality. Although I don't understand how he only had 0.7 XG when Xerxes scored 2 goals that I consider to be almost sitters. If you miss, you get laughed at. And I mean this is a general question to anyone who understands XG, how it's all calculated, especially his first goal. It was a shot from 6 yards out, an open goal. I don't understand why that's not and maybe it's my standards versus XG standards. I look at that as a sort of, 0.7, 0.8 worth of XG. It's an open goal from 6 yards out. If you're not scoring that, you should be thoroughly embarrassed. So I'm not even too sure how to for that, if I'm being honest with you. But I think what it demonstrates as well is, and this is where confidence comes in. We got better as the confidence grew within the team. But we haven't done this enough this season, back in the last season. I know Rashford's goal deflected as it went in, but it was a great shot that was on target. You need players that can step up and score very good goals, score the goals that are kind of low XG. If you look at Arsenal right now, you look at Liverpool at the moment, they're not just scoring goal. I mean, the Gakpo's XG would have been very, very high because of where it was. But the actual setup of that pass from Mo Salah, and we'll get onto it later, threading the eye of the needle, it was out, in essence, it was out of nothing, because most people would never have expected the ball to have gone in that direction. And you need those moments of brilliance. And I've seen Sky Sports today talk about us and say, well, the stats don't look great, so therefore we have to ignore the goals. But I've also seen Sky Sports, when the stats have looked great, but we didn't score enough goals, kick off and go your average as well. And it's almost like they're already, and I understand why, we're the biggest team in the world, biggest team in England, definitely one of the biggest in the world. But it's almost, unless we've got really good stats and we score 3 or 4 goals and we don't concede, we're probably not, Staffy, going to get any praise during this rebuild process whatsoever.
We don't care for praise, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not looking for validation from anyone. You know, we see what we're doing on the pitch. We can compare it to what we've done on the pitch before that. Kundle, you're already gonna interrupt me. It bothered you that much?
I said that's the spirits. I was encouraging.
Oh, okay.
you.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
Picking you up,
It's
picking you
just
up,
bro.
Kundle not having nice words about us. I thought he was upset there.
Never.
Yeah, listen, like Senor Amorim said, he said that he wants to do less interviews anyways, you know, because he doesn't care to talk too much to the media and to the public. He just wants to get on the training ground, and he wants to put these players on the pitch to win games. And that's what he's done. The last 3 games, we haven't lost. Obviously, the opposition weren't that tough, so I'm not going to be shameless about it. But we didn't lose in our last 3 games. If you're being honest, we didn't lose since Ten Hag just got sacked, period. It's the last 7 games we haven't lost a game yet. And that's all I care about. I care about improvements and the progress. And I'm not going to lie, it's really refreshing to hear I don't want to say manager, because he's not a manager. He's a head coach. But it's good to hear your gaffer come out in press conferences and say things that you personally subscribe to, which was the complete opposite of what Ten Hag used to do. Ten Hag used to come out after a loss, and I'm like, what is this guy saying? Like, you're gaslighting me. I don't agree with anything you say. Versus now Emram comes out and he's like, we have to not look at the result and look at the performances. And I love that, because he's basically saying, I'm not doing results-based analysis. I'm looking at performances and I'm analyzing everything I see on the pitch. And I think that's what Double A was trying to mention about the Bodo Glimt game. The Bodo Glimt game, we won 3-2, but let's be honest. I said this on Friday on Straight Facts. I said it could have been 4, 5, or 6. Versus Everton, we won 4-0, but Terry, you remember I said on the Metro yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really feel like a 4-0 win. We were a little bit clinical, but it's not one of those. To win 4-0, I'll be honest, you need to generate more than just 4-goal XG, and you just need to look at the game and really feel like you peppered the opponent. I didn't feel like we peppered Everton. We were better than them. They lacked the quality. They made a lot of mistakes, and we took them, but I didn't look at the result and say, oh my God, look at us 4-0. We're the best team in the world. No, I looked at it and I took the goods and the bads. And I'm happy that the manager does the same thing. And this is why it fills me with confidence to hear what he says. You know, so if rivals don't agree with it, it's fine. It's their job at the end of the day as rivals, not really to give
with that game. With that game, Staffy, as well, for me personally, obviously, the goals were the least important thing. Yes, it's nice to have a +4 goal difference, you know, scored or a better goal difference than Man City. Who would think that ever? Do you know what I mean? And but it was the clean sheet. It was his first Premier League game at home. It was the production of quality from certain players in the team. You know, Xerxes looking like a decent player. Ahmad just showing exactly why every single Manchester United fan loves him and was desperate for him to get into the team all last season. I think there was, Onana again proving that he's doing good things and he's turning the tide from a horrible season last season. Even players like Mazraoui, I thought in that 30 minutes at the start of the game was pretty bad. Whether that's tiredness, whether that's whatever it is, he was having a bad game, turned it around and eventually shown his class of being a steady Eddie, a nicer way of putting it. And I just think, as great as the 4-0 was, it was everything that contributed to it that we take away now and start to see. Yes, we actually could have an okay squad to get us through this transitional period with this new manager. He's still figuring out what players, because a lot of the players that started yesterday, we would probably say wouldn't be in our starting lineup going forward. But the fact of doing this to a Premier League team, go on, mate, go on.
Double A. Over the last week of football, what would you say? What would you say like the 2 or 3 main things you've learned about this squad so far?
They can listen to proper instructions. That's probably the biggest takeaway I'm going to take, because when they get coached properly, they actually can do good things. And I think a lot of United fans have long said that under Ten Hag, these players weren't as bad as what we were seeing. I just think there was an absolute breakdown between what was happening on the training pitch to what was happening in match days, and lost in translation, or he just wasn't good enough, or they just wasn't listening, didn't care. Whatever it was, something was massively breaking down. So they can clearly listen to instruction and can clearly get instruction from very early on. And another thing is that they're not as bad as what people are making out. But we knew that anyway. The only issue I would have had, and I was saying to you last week about if we'd have started 4-0 wins on the bounce, I would have been worried then, because that looks like a proper manager bounce. Yeah. And that's what I didn't want, because I wanted them to show this manager who they are for real. And I think there's still some issues where he's seeing that from certain players, not hiding from certain factors in this game, and everything was looking rosy, because it wasn't. But overall, mate, it looks like they're actually enjoying the football again. And I think that's
why there was a lot of smiles on your players' faces yesterday.
I think
and in the crowd.
Yeah, you see it in the crowd, the players. I think something you said, Staffy, resonated with me a lot as well, is that the manager, it's performance-based analysis rather than results-based. However, he's also stated that he knows that without the results, you don't get the time to get the performances right. And I think that balance is key. I can also accept that I actually think we were better against Bodo Glimt than we were against Everton. I would agree with that. But that's why when we were on the show Friday and people were trying to dig us out for not scoring more goals, I was relaxed about it from the perspective of there'll be a game that will come soon. I didn't realize it would be 2 days later, where you're maybe not quite as good, but you score more goals, which is why the scoreline, although Liverpool's game yesterday is a prime example, that was more than a 2-0 victory in terms of the performance from Liverpool. It's just, uncharacteristically, that miss from Salah at the beginning of the second half. You'd know Van Dijk, if he was playing against Man United, would have buried all 3 of those goddamn headers as an example. And it could have been a very, very different day in terms of the scoreline. But the performance would have been absolutely no different had a few more of those goals have gone into the back of the net, as an example. So I agree completely. I like what he's doing so far. What we learned about the squad? I think not much that we didn't already know, if I'm being honest with you. It's just that it's been hard to analyze a lot of these players in the last year, because there hasn't been the structure for them to play from. There really hasn't been the structure for them to play from. And the bits I've liked the most, little things that rivals may or may not see. I love the width we have when we attack, whether it's the kind of 10s drifting out wide, like the second half against Bodo Glimt, or whether it's the fullbacks. We were much better yesterday at stopping ourselves being exploited in the spaces left by not having a left back and a right back. I quite like that. And I'm almost enjoying the experiment as well. We've seen Rashford play as a number 9. We've seen him play as a 10. Ahmad so far is the only one who's played, I think, the same position from an attacking point of view twice as kind of the right wing back. And he did okay against Ipswich. He was excellent yesterday and he grew into the game. And look, maybe he was always going to do it, but it's little bits of decision making where I think Garnacho might have still done it. And I'm hopeful that he learns from this as well. But Ahmad could have shot for those 2 opportunities that Rashford and Zirkzee got to make it 3-0 and 4-0. And that's also where United have been let down so much in the last 18 months to 2 years. We'll be 1 goal ahead or 2 goals ahead. We'll have loads of great openings, but everybody tries to go for the glory. Everybody tries to be the goal scorer, and they try shooting from distance, or they try really hard opportunity rather than just a simple pass through for a player for an open goal to kill the game off. And I'm hoping that that isn't just something Ahmad is good at. I'm hoping that it's come from instructions and talking to the players, because that's what I want to. That's a big area that we need to improve on. It's only the first time in a year that we've scored four goals. The first time in over 5 years that we've scored 4 or more at home and not conceded. We don't do that enough. And that's why I don't really care that it's Everton, because look at who we've played in that period. Even when we played Bodo Glimt, you look at the underlying stats of that game in terms of passes completed, touches in an opponent's box. It's the best we've had since 2004. I know it is only Bodo Glimt, but we've played a lot of teams of their level and below in that period and not been able to dominate them like that. And I think you have to look at those positives and go, right, more of the same, please. So, yeah, I've been really impressed the first 2 games, 2 Premier League games, first 3 games. My feet are so firmly strapped on the floor. You could fill me up with helium and I wouldn't float, bro. They're so planted in the ground.
I'm glad
not going to get. I'm not getting carried away, but I am going to call out the things that I'm enjoying and things that I'm seeing that I like.
Now, I'm glad you came in and said that, because I was then going to ask Double A, because he said something about we've realized some players are better than other people thought. I think it's a little bit too early before we have that analysis, maybe about 5 or 6 more games for that one. But the question I do want to ask up to the side is, because there was a lot of encouragement in terms of your performance on the weekend and from all of you United fans in the panel. Would you be confident if your manager took the same approach that he did on the weekend to Wednesday night in terms of how he approached the game?
Can
Because he won't.
Tactically.
So he won't. He approaches games a lot different. What's that?
You haven't got the players, so you're missing Maino and Martinez, aren't you, on Wednesday?
It's a good thing we're missing Martinez. I don't want him in this game anyways. But Maino, obviously, he's a miss. But he's been injured for a while. So let's be honest. I don't think we expected 90 minutes from him anyways. But just to touch on what Kundle just said, no, I don't think we'll approach the game the same way anyways. Because, first of all, you have to be very stupid to go away to the Emirates and put the same game plan that you put at home to Everton. And that's no disrespect to Everton. But I mean, the gap between this Arsenal team and this Everton team, let alone being home and away, is insane. So of course, any footballing mind would not approach the game the same way. I think one thing me, Double A, and Terry could tell you so far is that our team is very unpredictable now in terms of we don't know how we're gonna set up. We can tell you the shape, but we can't tell how we're gonna set up tactically and who the personnel is. And that's one thing we didn't have under Ten Hag. Ten Hag most of the times played his favorites. Most of the times, if you know certain people were available, they will play. And most times we didn't even rotate. Whereas I've been paying close attention to every press conference Amorim has right now. And he talks about managing minutes and managing injuries a lot. Because we do have, I didn't even know that. We have 11 games in December. We play a game approximately every 3 days. We have an injury-prone squad. Most of them are recovering. So it's almost impossible to expect these players to play 90 minutes, or most of them to play 90 minutes in back-to-back games. And we've seen over the last few games, and probably that's the best thing that happened at Everton, is that we scored a lot early. We were able to take out some players at 60 minutes. The likes of Mazraoui needed a rest. He's been amazing, but he took him out 55 minutes. Great. He got an extra 30-minute rest now and didn't have to play the rest of that game. De Ligt came off early. I think the only reason he left Martinez is because he knew he was finished for Wednesday anyways, so he might as well left him. He actually put him in right center back, which was very odd. But most of the players he's been rotating, and some players that I think will be important for the Wednesday game didn't even play. So I think Højlund needs to start against you guys. I think Mason Mount needs to play against you guys, and Mason Mount got 10 minutes, and Højlund didn't get any minutes at all. So I don't think we'll approach the game the same way at all. I think he has to respect who you are as a team and what you guys bring, So we're not going to try to keep the ball against you, as an example, because we're not good enough to keep the ball against a team like you guys.
Do you think it'll be more akin, Staffy, to how Amarim's Sporting set up against
Man City?
Absolutely.
It'll be a counter-attack approach to that game, which again, look, I don't feel that confident about that game, if I'm being honest, because Arsenal look amazing at the moment, but I'm quite looking forward to, again, seeing a different side to an Amorim setup. playing a bit more pragmatically, absorbing the pressure and countering, which he's had to do on a number of occasions because Sporting, no matter how good they've been domestically, there's a limit to what they can do in Europe because they just don't have the funds of other clubs. So I think it will be a pragmatic approach. How do you, from your point of view, Kundle, as an Arsenal fan ahead of the game, any concerns, any worries, or do you feel this is going to be easy pickings for the Arsenal on Wednesday night?
To be honest, like the history of this game is the history. So at the back of my mind, I'll never go all gun blazing and not think, man, you could do anything, because we've seen you come up to the Emirates with worse teams and get 3 points. So I'm not going to be stupid and say that. But some of the things I saw yesterday, hey, if you try that stuff with Odegaard and Saka, wahala everywhere. I'm very confident going into this game. I'll be honest. I see us scoring at least 3 goals. That doesn't mean you guys won't score. I see us scoring at least 3 goals in the game. I think that there's enough of our game and how good it's looking for me to be confident that we'll create a lot of chances, especially without the likes of Martinez and Maino. If they were there, I might be approaching it a little bit differently, but those are big losses for your team. And all Man U fans will say they're 2 of their better players. I don't know about Staffy in terms of Martinez, though. But, yeah, I'm quite confident going to the game. But it's still the biggest rivalry in Premier League history. Anything can happen. And in terms of the Premier League, Amorim in a big game is still kind of unknown. So, Omar, let's not be too overconfident going into Wednesday.
I mean, saying you're going to score 3 goals is quite overconfident.
I do believe we'll win.
See, this is where I think, look, I have to say, like, looking at the first 3 games, I don't think taking anything from those 3 games might shock you a little bit, Kundle, because I don't think he's going to set up like any of those 3 games where I think United are meant to be the team with the impetus and look to win. Even at Ipswich away, I still think United should be that team. I just think it's going to be very similar to the City game, and I think he will just look to strangle you and then look to break on you, which I think we will. I could even see Garnacho playing because of that, because I think he want that outlet and for him to run. But I'm not saying I agree with that. I just think that possibly could happen. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think for me, it's still one of the biggest games in the league, regardless of where these 2 teams are for me, because I grew up with that rivalry. So, I wish it was us 2 going for the league. I hate you too. But at the same time, it's one of them where I'd rather be facing you and going for the league than the other 2 teams. You know what I mean? So, 100%. I mean, it's going to be a good game regardless, I think.
Yeah.
If Garnacho starts, I'll start rubbing my hands, but that guy's trash, man.
He's not trash, but still, okay.
He's going to be playing in the Championship in 2 years. Or Galatasaray or Fenerbahce or something.
Is he going to City? Yeah, in the Championship. Yeah.
Hey.
Nobbins just minding his business down there.
We'll see.
Sorry,
mate.
I got unnecessary stray.
I've
suffered enough. I've suffered enough over these past few weeks.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot Nobbins was here and he took that straight.
There's a super chat here that says, do you think Amorim will turn Anthony around?
He'll turn him around and direct him to the airport. That's
to the door, yeah, to the exit door, yeah. Go that way, pal.
Yeah, he's probably been, again, when we say I haven't learned too much. I didn't know about the players. He had a chance at fullback the other day, and he was the same at fullback as he was when he plays at the attack. He got into really good positions. He beat men. Like, use your right foot and cross it in, cut it back. Tries to do some weird pass on the outside of his left foot and messes it up. I just can't with that guy. Get rid ASAP. Don't see an Arsenal win. The football gods are with us. Believe is what Harold here, who's a Manchester United fan, says here.
The realistic result is for Arsenal to win, though. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
That should be the expectation. They're in very good form. I don't think we'll get battered like some other fans have been saying. I've been hearing some Arsenal content creators saying they're going to batter us. I don't think so. You got to put in mind that we are the second best defense in the league, right? Whether you like it or not.
I'll be honest. I think this season. This is, if you want to get a battering in, if you want to go into games not worrying about Man United, this is your last campaign to do that for a while. I think over the next 2 to 3 seasons, we will become a much stronger and much better team with the way we're now being structured as a club. The head coach we've got running that up, where everybody on the same hymn sheet. It's the first time in 11 years we've been operating in the right way. So we will improve. So, yeah, I can understand why clubs are so desperate to batter us, because they know rival fans are aware United are operating properly now as a football club. Maybe not with the ticket pricing, but outside of that, and that's everybody. Do you know what I mean? The fact that all of our clubs have come together to protest that at the same time shows you. This here from Red Indian, who's a Liverpool fan, he says there was a moment where Garnacho had good space. It was 3 versus 4. He cuts in thinking about shooting, realizes the angle is not good and gives it away. He should be coached to keep it simple. Top player. I think you can be taught to do the right thing in those situations. I think you can. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Ahmad doesn't always execute it right, because in the first half he made some poor passes when he was in good positions. But it's the idea, and it's the idea that I never really have a go at people messing up if the idea is right. If that makes sense, it's the idea is right, then it's the right thing to do. The only time Kate does not look beautiful is when she hears Arsenal.
Where's she hears or oh, never mind.
Hears. Unless I've misread that.
You're right.
Kate, she's
I don't
beautiful.
look beautiful ever, especially in the mornings, let me tell you.
That's not true, Kate. Don't be so. Oh, here we go. If this all get the fishing rods out. Oh, you look lovely, Kate. Man, you messing. It's a great segue though, Kate, because the Tottenham. I'm talking. I mean, Expression said it best, and I'm going to mention his name. I'm not going to steal his lines because that'd be ridiculous. He said it best. If Spurs were a man, they're the kind of man that could pull Beyonce and Rihanna one weekend, and the next weekend get rejected by Katie Hopkins. All right, and it's a great line. But that is legitimately what you're. How do you batter Man City 4-0? And then drop points in these games. Do you actually look back at it now and maybe think the City game was the anomaly and all the other matches before and after are actually where you are?
No, I don't think that. But I do look back and think City were poor. But I mean, we smashed Man United as well. Let's not forget that.
We were great. We were brilliant when you played us.
Rubbish.
Exactly. But look, I actually rang Talk Sport today and had a chat with them about this very thing. There's something inherently wrong with Spurs and the mentality at Spurs. It doesn't matter whether we keep Ange. It doesn't matter whether we bring in somebody else. It's something within the club. Now, whether it's better, whether it's because Levy's always focused on getting top 4, and that is where it comes from, whether it's that we literally got to a Champions League final when the expectations went through the roof and people don't realise we're not as good as they think they are. I don't know what it is. But we either need to get a psychologist in to sort this out, or we need to get some sort of voodoo priestess to take away the curse of my club, because it's horrendous. Someone said that they think the new stadium's built on an old Indian burial ground, and it really wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's just, you can't make it up. I vow anyone to find a team that's more difficult to support than Spurs. They are so up and down. It's a roller coaster, game in, game out. It's so frustrating.
Roller coaster, just gotta find it.
I mean,
you just need to enjoy the ride more. Like that's your family. You just need to enjoy the ride.
Embrace the chaos.
Instead, what the rest of you lot do is increase expectations. We're challenging for this, challenging for that. Just enjoy the ride. Great roller coaster, man.
That's why last week we had a conversation about Man United's rebuild versus what Ange's going through. I agree with you on the show, and I've listened to it back since as well, because it's always important to listen back to things. And you're right. I haven't called for Big Ange to be sacked, and I feel that Big Ange should be given time. The reason why I probably, as an outsider to Tottenham, haven't thought about what you're doing with Ange as a rebuild is because people like yourself, who I listen to and respect a lot, you talk about it as there's no point getting excited because nothing at the club is going to change. For instance, when I speak about Man United's rebuild, I'm more excited about how we've restructured the club and the new direction we're going in, more so than I am Ruben Amorim. So I feel as though there's multiple bits of change going on at the same time. If we'd have just gone out and hired the best coach in the world, if we took Pep off City, not Pep right now to be fair, but if we took last season's Pep off of City and put him into the old structure at Man United, I genuinely think he would fail as well. So that's maybe why last week I didn't sort of view, when we were talking, yourself as going through a rebuild, because the only way you're going to get this squad team better, as you say, is the mindset changing, and a lot of that is going to be done in the transfer window and by the ambition of the owners to set that precedent that you want to be a serious team on the football pitch, surely.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to take into account we've got Vicario out, we've got Van der Ven out, we've got Romero out, we've got Odebert out, Solanke went off sick. Now, most of those players were out versus City, apart from Solanke. But, you know, people are moaning about Solanke not scoring. But if you actually watch his play, he does so much for us. You know, most of the pressing starts with him. He's fantastic, and we miss that massively. But there's just no ambition at this club. You know, I said a few weeks back on this show, Spurs need to understand where they are in the food chain. I'm not even convinced. When I look at the table now, I'm not even convinced we are a top 6 team. I'm not sure, because I look at the likes of Brighton getting better all the time. I know Villa are on a bit of a slump. Man United are massively improving now. Chelsea are going to, well, they're not massively improving, but you're expecting them to improve. Chelsea are massively improving. It's so congested there. I'm not sure Tottenham are now a top 6 club. And I just don't see anything changing with the results until we get a new owner. It's as easy as that. I just don't see it.
Daniel Levy's not giving up Tottenham anytime soon. This is a little passion project to see how many
taking that to his grave.
Concerts, F1 things, NFL games,
new hotel.
Exactly. Like you say, he's not ambitious. He's ambitious. He wants to make the first multifunctional arena that's just supposed to be for the football club. It'll do everything else, but see trophies won for the football club. And it happened. Tottenham had a spell where they tried to do this thing where they go get the winners of managers. They go get the elite of the elite, the guys that guarantee you trophies. Didn't work. So they've now tried to move back to what it was, which was we'll pick up a project manager who plays nice football and hope that, you know, it has a good feeling around the football club and we get there. And I get the mentality point, because that mentality thing at the club is deep rooted. I also feel though that not a lot, because I do think a fair few Tottenham fans want to win stuff, but there's a section of the Tottenham fan base that are fine with just nice football. They're not desperate to win because it was really bad under Conte, so now we never want to go back to that, even if it means we don't have a chance at trophies. We just want to play nice football, be everyone's favourite team to watch. Everyone's favourite team to watch doesn't win trophies.
And
Tottenham,
if
Tottenham are going to fall away from that top 6 thing. That it's a very real worry. If this happens, if this continues over the next 3-4 years, and Villa stick by Emery or Brighton keep nailing recruitment and keep unearthing these gems, eventually they will just overtake. And no amount of Beyonce concerts at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium will claw back that difference. Play on a footballing level, the best players will want to go, and the football club won't replace them correctly. I mean, Jesus, Timo Werner is still starting for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, but to be fair, he had a decent first half. At the weekend, he did have a decent first half.
To be fair,
that's the problem. That's the problem.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
Like
Timo Werner can give you a good half twice a season. But Timo Werner should not be the guy who Tottenham are turning to when they've got an injury or two.
100%.
I agree.
It's not ambitious enough.
I agree.
And if you wanted to break the chain, you lot needed to go out last season against City, beat them 2-0 at your house. That's what you should have done. If you really wanted to break the cycle, that would have shown us you're not worried about Arsenal no more. You're worried about yourselves and getting into the Champions League.
No,
it's little things like that, Kate.
What should have happened is after Pochettino got us to a Champions League final, we should have invested. We should have scrapped the new stadium, put it back a little while, and invested that money in the team. But
you got Ndombele.
Kate, I want to say something here, because I mean, you're one of the rational Spurs fans that I tend to hear or speak to on this channel. I just feel like there's a disconnect between what Spurs are and what some fans expect. You know, when you go to a website and there's the About Us page and you just read what this company is about, and from there you get their business model. Oh, this is what they do. You know, they sell this. This is their culture. You need an About Us page that when Spurs fans sign up to become Spurs fans, they need to know what they're signing up for. And I don't mean this as a diss. I just feel like everyone's at a disconnect. Okay? Spurs are not this winning team that are all about football culture. No, they're a very, very successful business. Anyone that denies how successful Spurs have been over the last 15 years to make their way into being a top 6 team because of the financial power that they have. That is success to me. In terms of culture on the pitch and football, you haven't been that in my lifetime. Maybe back then, I don't know. I hear stories from the older Spurs fans when they say what they were about 50, 60 years ago. But in my lifetime, I've never seen Spurs to be that. And this is why when people, they rage every time you lose or when you don't win things. I look at, Tom said it perfectly. You have an injury and then you have Timo Werner playing on your pitch. That just shows me that you never came in and tried to build a squad that is meant to be serious to win trophies. You've hired a project manager when you don't have a project. And that's where the disconnect is. Like, I feel like some Spurs fans, by the way, they need a reality check because everyone who wants Ainge sacked, I pray for the day Ainge gets sacked because I want you guys below us. I'm tired of seeing you ahead of us in the table. The minute he gets sacked, you are going to go for a typical British English manager who just keeps you. You're just existing.
Graham Potter's going to do all right at like an Everton or something.
Bro,
and
they'll just be existing. That's all they're going to
club.
do in the Premier League. They're just going to exist. Ainge's ambition does not match what Spurs are about. And that's what I'm saying. Forget Spurs fan reading the about page. Ainge should have read the business model before he signed up for the job. Because what he wants versus what the club wants is different. Did you just inhale some helium? Speak, Terry. Oh, shit.
You know what it is?
You know what, as well, with Tottenham?
No, it was a Borat impression saying, I like what you're saying. That's what I'm saying.
We've just spent talking about United, the project that United are going for now, where the upstairs is all on the same page now. They've got a manager and that. I couldn't tell you what Tottenham's project is. Because none of the signings add up. Like Dominic Solanke's the kind of striker that you'd sign if you want to take the next step. And then you sign two young 18-year-old kids.
Is he though? Is Solanke really?
Yeah,
Solanke really the guy?
Solanke got 20 goals. Solanke got 20 goals in the Prem last season. So that's a decent striker who Tottenham can build around and plan for over the next couple of years. And then they've got Lucas Bergvall and Archie Gray, who are guys who won't even be anywhere near starting week in, week out for the next 3 years, and an absolute minimum. So then you've got two projects that are just not aligned. And then the star player of the football club, Heung-min Son, he's in a win now mode. He's come to the end of his career. If he wants to win anything in Tottenham, it's now. He hasn't got 3 years to wait, let alone 5. It all seems disconnected. And some of the key players, your likes of your Doggies and your Van der Vens and your Kulusevski's type of players, they're not stupid. They've got smart people advising them. They'll look at it and go, what am I going to achieve in the next 2-3 years here that I can't go elsewhere? Kulusevski could go to a top team in Italy or a top team in Spain or Germany or even England. Maybe, a team like I'm just going to say City, for example. Pick him up to play in a new system or something. Kulusevski's not going to stick around Tottenham for years because there's no vision there. There's no identity of where the football club wants to go. It's like you're pushing in 4 different directions, and that's not going to achieve anything, but just send Tottenham further back. You're going to end up within 3 years' time with a squad that's made up. We talk about United, for example. They had a squad that was made up of 4 different managers. You're going to end up with a squad that's made up of 4 different projects by the same person trying to run it all. Who wants it? You still got players from the Pochettino era. Like, come on. This is the thing that just sticks in my head. There's no... Tottenham don't have a desire to win anything. That's the big thing. That football club doesn't have a desire. Tottenham don't want to. They don't want to.
I don't get it. Like, I don't get why they rage. I would only rage if someone lied to me. If Kundle tells me, yo, Staffy, I'm taking you out to a steak place tonight. And I'm like, let's go to Kundle. And he takes me to some shitty-ass burger shop. I'll be pissed at Kundle. I'm like, Kundle, you lied to me. You promised me the world, and you took me to this shitty burger shop. I don't get why Spurs fans get angry when their project and their model has never changed. They've always been a team that just exists in the Premier League. And Kate said it. Sometimes their fans are just happy when they see better football. That is it. You'll have your phases where you're touching the top 4, and you'll have your phases where you're a bit lower. Nothing has changed. So I don't get why you personally thought, oh, now that Ainge is not winning anything, I need to get angry at Ainge and at the squad. He's doing nothing different than what you've done over the last 15 to 20 years.
I was
So
going
how
to
is
say,
he any different?
if you Google the inconsistency at Spurs, you can see articles from all different managers, from Conte to Pochettino, all being questioned as to why Spurs are so inconsistent. I mean, someone in the chat just said this is a reality check for Kate. It's not for me. I know exactly what we are and where we are. It might be a reality check for some people, but I'm old enough and ugly enough to know exactly what I'm signed up with Spurs.
I think what a lot of it comes down to, you guys hear me okay for the mic, yeah?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to turn it all on off. Yeah, I think what you guys are seeing with Spurs is, I think this would happen to anybody, no matter how ambitious you are. If you stay at a particular workplace too long that doesn't have ambition, doesn't have good bosses, where everything's a bit lax and a little bit kind of lazy, as an example. There's a really famous comedic example of this. If you watch the original UK version of The Office, you've got the sort of the guys that are in, where were they based? Reading. Was it Reading? Wherever they're based, right? Reading, Ricky Gervais's lot, and they get the Swindon lot that join them. And you see this moment where, like, the guys from Swindon, when they join Ricky Gervais's place, they're kind of moaning that not a lot of work is going on and the standards are really low and the behavior is bad. But over time, they all become that bad. They all start not working hard because you kind of get used to it. And although that was not the point of the show whatsoever, to kind of point out how bad leaders can ruin a workplace, it was very well documented within it. And it always stood out to me because I remember watching it as a young person working. I've been through that. I've had great bosses that have motivated me. I've had others that didn't care whether I was late for work, whether I left early, if I hit my targets or not. And it is easy to slip into mediocrity. And I think there must be and I'd love this to be investigated with Tottenham, as in, like, players spoken to and made to be candid about it. Did you feel you were being pushed as hard at that club as especially someone that maybe has joined from around Madrid? Maybe he's at the end of the year.
Harry Kane said it.
Did Harry Kane say it?
He said that if you lose a few games at Spurs, it's fine. No one cares. You lose one game at Bayern Munich, and it's like the end of the world. So
there we go. Then. I mean, I didn't know Kane said that, but you also got a watch story from the Champions League where Lloris was like, they bought us watches to say well done, and it just said Champions League finalists on it. I think these little it's really funny, right? Because
they were selling it in the stores. They were selling the gift shop for Spurs finalists. Yeah. They were selling merch saying Champions League finalists.
I think all these little things send a message. I think they really do send a message. And I understood the celebrations when you guys won that semi-final because of the way you did it and everything else. But again, reflection is really important. Maybe Poch being on the pitch crying at the semi-final is a really bad. Now, I think, look, I've been lucky enough most of my life to only see Sir Alex. If we start doing well again, Man United, and we get to a Champions League semi-final and win it, and Ruben Amorim starts crying, I'm going to panic. Because for me, you
act like you've been there before.
No, and again, it's I got it in the. I get it in the moment, so maybe I'm being harsh. They were out. They scored the last kick, literally the last kick of the game. So maybe I understand it, but you should want your manager probably to be a little bit calmer. But maybe because that's the environment that he and everything else at Spurs sits in, where that's enough. That makes you a winner in Tottenham's eyes. So and I don't know. It's a weird one because the level of inconsistency, as you say, it's more than just the players, because you guys buy players and we all go, oh, that's pretty decent. Spurs have done well there. And then it never really comes to fruition. It has to be how you're run as a football club.
Remember, there was a one beginning of the season where Spurs' front three was Son, Kane, and Gareth Bale, and the whole fan base were going crazy. They were promising us that's the best front three in the league.
That year where the biggest thing happened. The biggest show of the lack of ambition in Tottenham happened that year. Jose Mourinho got to a cup final and they sacked him the week of it because it was cheaper to sack him then.
Yeah.
It was financially cheaper to sack Jose Mourinho before the cup final than after it. Therefore, they sacked him and went into that game with Ryan Mason as manager, and they shockingly lost the cup final. Now, I'm not saying Jose Mourinho would have guaranteed won that final. Tottenham were in a real bad state with him at that point in time. It was typical Jose at that point.
To Mason, one of them.
But he had a better chance than Ryan Mason, and it's the show of ambition. Imagine United got to an FA Cup final next year, but the week of it, they sack Amorim. because it's cheaper to do it now, and we'll get a new manager in afterwards. It doesn't make sense.
If they'd at least wait for him to win it and then
Look,
sack him,
we did it with Ten Hag was very close to being sacked after the Crystal Palace 4-0 defeat. But because we had an FA Cup final coming up, the club looks at it and just said, it's probably now not the right time to do it. And they kept him. He has won finals before, and he went on to win it. And as much as I still thought he should have gone after that point, I am glad now, hindsight's lucrative, that we didn't get rid of him after Palace, because we might not have won that final. And at the cold, hard light of day, that trophy, although it was, I didn't want Ten Hag at the club anymore for one reason or another, I'm very grateful that we won it. To sack Ten, I think Jose would have won that trophy as well. I think it would have been so Jose Mourinho to have been struggling, to have gone into that final against the best team in the country and won it, because that's the type of thing that he has done throughout the entirety of his career. Moving on from Tottenham, but staying in London, Chelsea. We don't have any Chelsea reps on today, but it looked a bit of all right yesterday, Nobbins. I'm not too sure how much of the game you were able to see. I'm concentrating, spoke too much on the show yet, but you will later when it comes to City, trust me. But when it's the Chelsea starting to really look good, really look dangerous, a little bit of fear popping into the rivals now when it comes to them, because they're winning, they're third in the league, playing nice football, scoring goals.
Yeah, I think I've said many times I've been super impressed with Chelsea this season. I think even last season I did say that such was the quality of a lot of their individuals that they were too good to fail long term. So they did have like a bad season last year, obviously. But again, it was only a matter of time before it clicked, in my view. Now, it has clicked probably one season earlier than I thought it would have done. But again, I think that's just big credits to Maresca, who, again, I think has taken everyone by surprise. I don't think anyone expects him to be this competent this quickly. And yeah, fair enough to them. I think that I still think a lot of it is down to the fact that they're still a relatively unknown quantity, certainly compared to like Arsenal or like a Liverpool or a City. So I think we've seen this season a lot of teams haven't really been showing them respect. I think the best examples like like West Ham or Brighton, for example, where they just acted like they were any other team, and Chelsea got some of the best counter-attacking players in the world, and they just like played through them and destroyed them ultimately. So it'll be interesting to see when teams clock on and realize, oh, actually Chelsea, we should be probably treating them like an Arsenal, Liverpool, City, whoever. Be interested to see how they adapt. But yeah, they've been fantastic so far this season. I think that they are maybe two pieces away from challenging for the title in terms of like getting in a first team, like improving the goalkeeper, for example. I think improving at least one of the centre backs as well. I think from there you're probably looking at a first 11 anyway, which is genuinely challenging for the title, I think. And again, huge props, massively impressive, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nobbins.
Can Chelsea finish above Arsenal, Nobbins, do you think?
They can finish above City, I'll tell you that much. I don't know about
Well,
Arsenal.
yeah, but we could finish above City. You never
Oh,
know.
we just
talked about this. Okay, we just spent the last 15 minutes talking about easing expectations on Tottenham. Let's not go back there.
Exactly. Did we learn nothing from the last 15 minutes, Kate? Come on,
I think, to be fair, Chelsea though, I was on the Top 6 show at the beginning of last season. I said they won't qualify for the Champions League for the next 2 years, and they didn't last season, and this season I thought it'd be the same thing. But over the last 2 weeks here, I'm not going to lie to you, I found myself checking out Chelsea's results. Like, it's the first time this season, these boys keep winning. What's going on here? Like you can't deny Maresca's done a great job in like steadying the boat, and he's not gone on any sort of run just yet because of how the league has looked, but they're in the mix, and you can't deny that. And they have a good squad, so I still don't think they'll get top 4, but I think there's a higher chance of them doing it now with how Maresca's performing.
Who finishes above them then?
But I don't.
Yeah, who finishes fourth, Conley, do you think?
Don't ask me any standings right now. I warned you, please, not till January the 1st. I beg, please. But I think that the season is just too. No one's really had a 5-game winning streak or anything like that. Nobody's done it yet. It's been a bit of a weird start to the season, other than the top of the league. Right. Other than the top of the league, obviously, other than the top of the league. But everyone else is just beating each other. Liverpool are just having a field day with that. So I'm not ready to say bang on that Chelsea are going to finish top 4. I'm not at Nobbins level where I'm saying they're 2 players away from challenging. I don't know yet. Let's see how this season ends, and then we can say how many players they're away from challenging. That's how I see it. But they're impressive, and as long as they keep impressing, you never know. They're definitely in the mix, man.
Who you think finishes above Chelsea then? If you say that Liverpool and Arsenal are going to be in the top 2.
Should I tell you who I said at the start of the season?
Yeah, but I'm talking about now. Because we all said things. As I said,
I'm not ready to answer till January the 1st.
So you're ready to say they won't finish top 4,
I can give
but
you
can't
my
answer
prediction
anything
from
else?
I can give you the prediction from the start of the season, but I can't give you where I'm at right now because I'm all over the place. Right?
Who did you have in the top 4 then?
Don't judge me. I had Spurs finishing 4th initially.
What?
Yeah, no, crazy.
Even I should go bottom row just with that.
Crazy.
Wow. Not trying to go off Chelsea, and we'll definitely get back to Chelsea, but the team they played at the weekend, Villa, 8 games without a win now for Unai Emery. They sit 12th in the Premier League, -2 goal difference. It's an absolute... I've seen some of their fans go online saying this is a red cartel issue because of PSR. They can't spend more money, and it's basically Man United, Arsenal, and Liverpool's fault that they've gone down the same route as Newcastle. They've got into the Champions League and then struggled the following year. But they really do look... I'm taking nothing away from Chelsea at the weekend. They were clinical. They passed the ball well. But Villa at the moment, double A.
You just cut out then a bit, Terry. What was the question, sir?
I just said Villa just look absolutely horrendous at the minute. What's going wrong?
Yeah, I think it is that. I was actually at Villa Park on Wednesday just gone in the Juve end for their Champions League game, and I wasn't really impressed then. I think it happens to a lot of teams. They have that Champions League run. The squad's not got the quality, and they tend to suffer in the league. We've seen it time and time again. I think that's just what's happening now. I know some Villa fans, and they're sick to death of Watkins. This is the tide's turning on the best players kind of thing, and I think Emery will be given time to turn it around. Starting to blame other clubs for your poor form is ridiculous to me. I think I don't subscribe to that.
They did spend a lot of money in the summer as well. Like they bought Amadou Onana, they bought Ian Matson,
50 mil,
and then they've done a bunch of PSR deals, which again that was due to how much they'd spent in the before. I'm not shocked that they're turning on Ollie Watkins. I've never thought Ollie Watkins is a top Premier League striker. The man is too inconsistent in front of goal.
I agree with that. I agree. But you think what he's done?
You rated Sri Lanka like 15 minutes ago. Are they the same bracket or?
Sri Lanka's better than Watkins.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Tom. That's why I respect Tom, bro.
I think
I'd much rather if you were to ask me, to put one striker through on goal 1-on-1, who would I rather have? Sri Lanka every day of the week.
Really?
100%.
Did you see the one-on-ones Watkins missed yesterday? Actually, forget yesterday. Did you see the one-on-ones he's been missing all season?
Did you see the chances he missed against you lot
Yeah,
at Villa Park?
Fair. I think they're as bad as each other, but I hear you. I hear it though.
The thing is,
he's no Rasmus. I tell you.
the thing is with Villa that it happens to these teams when they get Champions League and they struggle with the 2 games a week. And I did like some of their business in the summer. I think surprisingly probably one of the best deals they've done was Ross Barkley. But it's just a case of that team that it slightly overperformed last. It had the Newcastle syndrome of capitalizing where other teams fell off, and they were just in the right place at the right time. Now these other teams are back in the position and they're struggling with 2 games a week. They're really low down on the table. They'd be idiots to... Because I've seen some Villa fans going mental at Emery and thinking about sacking him. You'd be mental to do that. But Villa need a couple... Villa probably got Champions League a little bit too early for the stage they were at. I think they needed another year or 2 in Europa League to pad out the squad. Because right now they've tried to throw everything together. Throw together a Champions League squad on a Europa League budget, and whilst not necessarily having a full Champions League team as is, they've still got players who, within 2 years' time, in 2 years' time, I don't expect certain players that are starting at Villa now to be starting for them if they're wanting to get Champions League week in, week out.
Yeah. The Champions League team, Tom, and you have John McGinn started left wing for you.
No, but to be honest, as soon as
not only
Emery
that,
Dean's still starting as well. Do you know what I mean?
Not only that, Tyrone Mings is starting. They're starting
That's right.
Tyrone Mings in Champions League games. Like, Tyrone Mings isn't good enough to be a Premier League defender, let alone a Champions League defender. And I mean, it's funny watching them at the minute because they're just making the stupidest fucking mistakes. They gave away an indirect free kick.
Sorry, guys, just to let you know, the FA Cup draw is currently on. Does anyone know where it's on?
BBC Two.
Okay, I'm going to go to the iPad. I'm going to put it on when we can talk. And when the big ones come out, I'll jump in and say something. Unless you guys want to sit there, it could be long. It could be long.
Yeah, you got it's the third round, isn't it? You got like all the teams in it.
Everyone.
You see Villa, yeah. I think it's like as soon as Emery, like, because just like Tom was saying, them getting to the Champions League early led their fans to increase their expectations. I was hearing stuff in summer that if Villa get João Felix, we need to look at them as a title challenge. I was saying all sorts of crazy stuff. But what I've seen in Emery's careers is every time he gets expectation, there's a little bit of a crumble. When there's nothing to expect, he can win a trophy here and there or do the best in terms of a team with low expectations. But once the expectation, the pressure gets to him, he seems to struggle.
He does better when he's the underdog. I'll be honest with you. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
No, it's not good, bro.
Yeah, he does.
Sorry, go on. I'll ask a question afterwards. Go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he Emery definitely does better when he's the underdog. So there's an element of truth in what Kundle is saying there. But I think Tom said it spot on. I think they suffered from a quick growth last season. I mean, the season for them to finish top 4 last year, I think it took most of us by surprise. We praised them for the work that they did, but I think they peaked a little bit prematurely. And the evidence was going into this summer and the squad that they're putting out this season. Not that Diaby is a world beater, but you lost Diaby. You only had him for 1 year. Then he shipped him out to Saudi. And then I see you putting out lineups with Leon Bailey and McGinn on your wings. I didn't think they made great improvements this season to match the level of opposition that they're going to face in the Champions League, especially, let alone playing twice a week. They're massively struggling with twice a week. And the fact that I think they got carried a lot by Ollie Watkins last season. Ollie Watkins' last season reminds me a lot of Rashford's first season with Ten Hag. We lived and died by Rashford that season. When he didn't score, we didn't win. When he scored, we won, and we won a lot. And that's why that 40 GA got us far that season. The minute those goals dried out a little bit, you got to see a little bit more of what the team is about. And I think that's Ollie Watkins. I don't think Ollie Watkins was ever that striker that I think he almost had last season 20 plus and like over 10 assists, 12 assists, something like that. I don't think he's that good. He had that good of a season, but he was never going to maintain that, in my opinion.
It's a good thing you say that because Ten Hag got him over Rasmus. So what would we have done if we'd have gone down that route?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Ollie Watkins isn't as good as Rasmus at this age, and I think people. I don't think people understand that. Ollie Watkins is what right now, 28. Go see where Ollie Watkins was.
Something like that. Do you know what annoyed me about the Villa fans and stuff moaning about it's the red cartel's fault, PSR, etc. You think about where Liverpool are right now. I don't want to use Man United as an example. People think I'm being biased. Liverpool Football Club, or where they are, they've had a few down periods, but it's been decades and decades and decades of hard work and fan growth to become a club that earns this much and can sustain its success. Where I get a bit frustrated sometimes is where clubs, Villa only 4 or 5 years ago were relegated from the Premier League. They start to improve and they get a taste of Champions League football, and they don't want to put the decades of work in that the other big clubs have done to get there. And that's the one thing I would say. And I know that sometimes, I know there was an era where you could get an owner like Roman who could supercharge it and get you there quicker. But that's gone now. You know, that doesn't exist in football. And it hasn't existed in football for 10 years. It's not suddenly like these rules have come in the last few weeks with ownerships and how much people can spend, right? And by the way, it's impacting Man United right now because our owners can't pay off our debt. They can, but all the debt that gets written off and then the profits you make from that, because the owners pay it off, it gets offset against your trading accounts. And therefore, even if you're making a profit because of it, you'll still make a loss on PSR. Therefore, you'll lose the points anyway. So there's a lot of United fans saying, why don't they just pay it off with their own cash? They can't. They have to for it to not impact you with PSR, we have to generate the money organically as a football club. You can't just pump it in yourself, essentially. And I just get really frustrated that it's, how are you blaming Liverpool or Arsenal for your own club not buying right in the summer? Or maybe your manager, now the pressure's on, crumbling a little bit. I don't see how, it wasn't Man United and Liverpool's fault that you were in a relegation battle with Steven Gerrard, but it's now our fault that your manager's struggling this season. I don't quite understand how suddenly it's Man United's fault, it's Arsenal's fault that they're struggling. Back onto Chelsea, I wanted to ask about a particular player. Is Moisés Caicedo, Staffy, the best central midfielder in the league right now?
I know your internet is not the best. Watch out to that because your question keeps cutting out.
Did it go a bit funny again here? It really should be pretty good with my internet where I'm at. Sorry, it might be
Every
more
time you
my
ask a
microphone.
question, I think your internet is targeting you. When
Tom
you ask
was not
questions.
happy with that question.
I was not.
Every time
no.
he wants to ask a question, the internet acts up.
Is Moisés Caicedo the best midfielder in the Premier League?
Oh,
Tom
No.
is so angry.
No, he's not the best midfielder in the Premier League. He's playing like one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. I think that's how I should say it. I think he's been very good. I think you are starting to see this season. That's the player that they play. They paid what did they pay for? 105 mil 2 seasons ago? Or
115.
15? I always get it wrong because of him and Enzo being over 100 mil.
Just
But
remember
100
City's charges, mate, and you remember the price one.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. See, well, I swear that's
Easiest
that's
way. That's how I remember, mate. So it's
We haven't even got to the City section yet.
Nobbins, just sit back. And I like how you changed the light behind you to red. No more blue.
It matches my anger and rage.
He's trying to switch now to the red side of Manchester. But no, on a real though, Caicedo's been very good this season. He's been playing like one of the best midfielders in the league. Is he the best one? I don't know. I mean, when we speak of midfielders, I don't like that conversation because there's a difference between a 6 and an 8 and a 10. So if you ask me who's the best midfielder in general in the league, I'll always say it's De Bruyne. But is De Bruyne playing like one?
Let me rephrase that then. If we're talking sort of DM stroke sixes, then we'll put him into his category as opposed to across the board. Is there anyone better in the league than him in his role this season?
I think in his role, I think he's the best this season. Yes, there's been a debate between him and Gravenberch.
Don't worry, Tom. I got
Tom
you.
is already angry. Tom, relax. Give me a second.
Tom, I got you.
I think him and Gravenberch this season have been the best two in that position. But I'm not going to lie.
About
I think I
Partey,
watched.
bro.
Sorry,
About Partey, bro.
Bro. I'm sorry. I don't.
I just asked the question. Just give me a comment on it. That's all
I just
I'm
said I don't care for Partey this season. And if you're gonna say Rice, I also don't care for.
No,
Rice.
I don't need the why. I just needed the.
Okay. No, in his position, I think he's been the best. It's been between him and Gravenberch, and I'm not gonna lie. I think it's harder to do what Caicedo's done this season than Gravenberch. I think Gravenberch has been very good. Don't get me wrong, Tom, but I think Gravenberch finds himself in a better team that's been more established over the last few years. Yes, he was looked at as a bust last season, but the way Caicedo was looked at last season, a waste of money, a shaky midfield, and a shaky team in general that no one knew how good or bad they are. I feel like for him to turn around last season to look like this season, I think he's been better. And it's I'm not upset at anyone that thinks Gravenberch has been better. Like it's not a problem at all. You know what I'm saying? But I look at the Chelsea team. They're tied for second right now. They're joint second. You have to acknowledge how good that team has been and how good that midfield has been. And I think he's been the cornerstone of that midfield.
Yeah.
But Liverpool are top of the league, bro.
Gravenberch is one of the
he's
big
lost one
reasons we're
game
top
or
by
two.
9 points.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so
Won
let's
every
do this.
game in the Champions League.
So let's do this. Let's do this.
What we doing?
Is Gravenberch a better player just because his team is in first and Caicedo's
no,
team
he's
is
performing
second?
better.
No, because I understood your point, which was Caicedo from last season to this season has been a major improvement. But I think what you've got to do with Gravenberch is acknowledge the fact that Liverpool haven't had a 6 or a top level 6 since 2021-22. The year after, Fabinho was horrendous. And the year after that, it was Endo or McAllister. And neither of them were ideal fits. New manager comes in. Gravenberch goes into this role, a role that he hadn't ever really played before. Comes in and has been undroppable. Every other midfielder for Liverpool has rotated in or out except Ryan Gravenberch. Ryan Gravenberch has played every game. Ryan Gravenberch has been the most important piece in linking up the midfield and the attack and the defence. He has been brilliant in a tackle, and any midfield test he's been given, because how many times to be here? Wait till he comes up against a real midfield. That's when we'll learn Ryan Gravenberch and all that. Every single test the man has had, he's passed. He's done it against the champions of Germany. He's done it against the champions of Spain, the champions of England. He's done it up against Caicedo and Chelsea. He's done it at Arsenal. He's done it in every game. He's done it at Old Trafford. Caicedo's been good, really good. And if Liverpool weren't 9 points clear, with Ryan Gravenberch being one of the main reasons, I'd probably agree with you. But the size of the gap it is, and the control Liverpool have, and part of the reason why we have the best defence in the league is because of what Ryan Gravenberch does for this team. And most of the seasons, Caicedo will be there, but for me, I just can't look past Gravenberch this year.
I agree with you, and I think you got to remember, I said they've been the best too.
It's a good argument, though.
So Staffy, then, is it your preference of Caicedo over Gravenberch?
I think there's a little bit of bias as well. I will admit that, because Terry could tell you from 2 seasons ago, I've been screwed from Man United to sign Caicedo. So there is an element of bias there, but I think it's justified. At the end of the day, I'm saying I agree with what Tom said, but at the end of the day, I'm saying they're the best 2 in that position this season. So it's a toss-up between them. It depends on how you really want to look at it. I'm looking at him playing in a lesser team than Liverpool, so I think that's more impressive. Tom thinks the fact that they're 9 points clear and he's been a big part of it is why it's more impressive. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think either argument is wrong. It's just
Tom's saying that's an element of it. I think what Tommy's saying as well, the fact that he's gone back into a role that he's not necessarily familiar with, where this is Caicedo's natural role, and he's doing outshine most. Absolutely, mate. The way he's playing for that team and how important he's got. You know, for me, of all the crap that Ten Hag bought from Ajax, and he didn't go and get Gravenberch, he's still one of the biggest.
Let's be honest, you would have look bad anyways. So
but Amorim would have bought the best out of him, mate. So he wouldn't have mattered, would it? Do you know what I'm saying? He would have been the best midfielder in the league then. Do you know what I'm saying?
Very true.
But I also say it's impressive how last season was looked as a complete waste of 30 mil. Tom will tell you that. I saw a lot of Liverpool fans saying, "Why did we spend 30 million?"
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, you know what? They used him as a stick to beat Ten Hag with. They were like, Ten Hag wanted him first. Liverpool got him. You should have never signed him because Ten Hag wanted him. And Ten Hag signed all the wrong players.
I can't believe anyone would have done that.
He's excellent. But look, as we said earlier about Chelsea looking great at the minute. I think the manager's doing the right thing by playing down title race talk. He's doing the right thing, that he's lowering that kind of media expectation. I think the January window is going to be very interesting, because I think if they can add a bit more star quality, Liverpool look formidable right now, and we'll get onto them later. But you never know what's around the corner. An injury or two, or a bad bit of form. They're level on points with Arsenal. I think they're only behind Arsenal in the league alphabetically as it stands. Every other metric is the same: goal scores, goals conceded, etc., etc. So, look, Chelsea fans should be really proud of where they're at. They're going to win a trophy this year, because they are winning that. If they don't win the Conference League, they should shut the club down. You know, they could win. They're in they're still in the Carabao Cup as well, right?
No, they got knocked out by Newcastle.
Oh, they got knocked out. Okay, so, but they're obviously still in the FA Cup, the draws. Just some of the numbers for the FA Cup: Man United at 23, City 22, Spurs 40, Arsenal on number 2 on the list. I assume it's in alphabetical order.
Yeah, you're always number 2.
I am hoping and I am praying. 38 years I've been wishing for this. 40 years my brother has been, that Man United get Leyton Orient. We have rarely do Orient get to the 3rd round. I don't know if you saw Leyton Orient's 2nd round game, though. They were awful. They were 1-0 down. Goalkeeper literally comes up, does an Allison, gets his head on it, last kick of the game in 8 minutes of added on time, sends it to extra time, and then they do this. Then one of their strikers scores a last minute just before penalties to send them through. It was a mad one, seeing the keeper score. So
you just want chaos in the Fleurs household. That's what.
Oh, mate, do you know what it is? I also want it for Leyton Orient. Like, I don't support them, because I only believe in supporting one team, but I grew up opposite them. Literally, the flat. We used to live in these really high tower blocks. The flat I grew up in looked over the pitch. Like, I was that close. So
Arsenal, Man United.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Are you for real? Who's at home?
Arsenal.
Oh, fuck off!
Easy. Good
Well,
night.
That's hilarious.
So that's over.
Staffy, at least we take the 3 points off him on Wednesday. That's enough for me, mate.
It's actually really inconsiderate of them to not even let you finish your Leyton Orient story. You didn't even get to finish your Leyton Orient story before they put that one down.
You know what? Like, I don't want that. That's a horrible draw because of how good Arsenal are and everything else. However, the way I think both teams have to look at this draw is, if you win one of the favorite, you're knocking a favorite out, and it opens the tournament up for you. But that's gutting, mate, because you know for a fact that City and Liverpool are going to get piss easy ties.
Yeah, they'll get Leyton Orient. Watch.
Yeah.
No, Leighton Orient got Derby.
Oh, Leighton Orient got Derby, did they? Okay. Well, fair
Yeah.
enough. They'll lose that. They're not very good this year, Orient.
Well, if it makes
But,
you guys feel any better, the last time we beat them in the Emirates was actually in the FA Cup, 2019.
There we go. There we go.
When
That'll
we
be-
just-
That doesn't make me feel better, mate. I'll be honest.
Hey, listen, I was in London at that time. Maybe I'll make another trip to London. You know what I mean? Keep the streak alive.
At least we get an easy start to the defense of the cup, mate. Do you know what I mean? That's one good way.
Aston Villa, West Ham.
Oh, big
Excuse
one.
me.
The
Speaking
Claret
of,
Derby.
speaking of
Claret,
Arsenal, Kundle, a very, very big, potent win at the weekend. 5 goals scored against West Ham. Saka on form. Odegaard killing it. 29 scoring goals again. Do you feel? But there seems to be a divide within the Arsenal fan base. Some are just great win. Let's keep our feet on the ground. Others, we are back. We are coming for the title. How good a performance was it? And where do you currently sit as a Gooner in terms of turning the corner this season?
Man City got Salford in the FA Cup.
Oh, of course they freaking did, mate. Of course they did.
You might
What
win
is
that
this,
one,
man?
Lobbins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait, is that a Manchester derby?
That's
there for you, Nobbins?
that's baby Man United, though, isn't it? That's Gary Neville's club, right?
Yeah.
Well,
There you
that's
go.
the same thing, right, Nobbins? Nah, but in terms of the weekend's performance, good performance. Obviously, we had a little. Hey, Wan-Bissaka was doing stepovers and all sorts of that. I don't know if you guys watched him. I was very upset at a couple the times he got past a few players, but it was a good performance. Saka proving that he is him. Like he's definitely that guy. No, I don't want to call him Starboy. He's a man now, man, and he's showing it. Like he's up for it. Players he's getting in players' faces. I love the laughter after his penalty. He actually laughed at West Ham fans. You know it. Like, I love that, man. A little bit of shithousery. He's getting that side of him as well. So it was a good performance. And Martin Odegaard proving that he's the best number 10 in the league again. I love to see that. And I'm really excited about how sharp that connection is looking coming into Wednesday night. In terms of getting overexcited, Terry, I can't allow myself to, because I'll be honest with you, the last 7 days was the first 7 days of football I've enjoyed this season. So for me to now carry that to we're in the title race again, I'm not ready. But if by January 1st we're 5 points in it, it's a different thing. But we need to keep our feet on the ground and just keep winning matches right now. 3 points on 3 points, and we'll see where we are in January.
Kunle, enjoy the ride, mate. You know, you're telling everyone else to
that's
enjoy the
what I'm
ride.
saying. I'm enjoying it.
You said you can't let your feet off the ground. Do you enjoy the ride, mate?
I'm enjoying the ride till January. Then things will get serious.
What's 28 days, 29 days, mate? Do you know what I mean? Just...
Liverpool have got
period, bro.
Accrington Stanley.
Who are they?
Who are they?
And Chelsea have got Morecambe.
We always get tough
my
draws.
days.
Brother.
Morecambe.
Look at
Well, that
that.
sounds like my local high school. What is that
We
team?
need a
Come on.
recount. Man. We need a recount.
We're playing MLS teams right now. I thought it was
Now,
the
what
FA
I'm
Cup.
hoping for here, do you remember in the Champions League where the same team came out twice and had to redo the whole thing again? That's what I'm hoping for now. Do you know what it is? It's like I don't mind playing harder teams. It's just with all the games you've got coming up, I'd rather the early rounds be the easy ones. Do you know what I mean? Where you can just play a reserve team, push through.
Lewis Skelly's, Noranyeris, them guys.
I think.
That's what
Wait, I think we were taught on FA Cups, Kunle, United and Arsenal, right?
No,
Or do you have one?
Arsenal won ahead of us. They won ahead of us.
Yeah, so it's still interesting.
Let us have that, man. Allow it.
No, I
Staffy.
just forgot because I know we just won one. and I
Flipping hell,
forgot
man.
I do run behind you.
Hey, listen, Liverpool about to get 20 titles. We need 14 FA Cups now just to start. You know.
We need to live with something, though. Like, that's what
No
I'm saying.
way. Yeah,
Tamworth.
I'm taking from it.
Hold on.
Tamworth Tottenham is the other one.
Fuck off. Oh my God, you lucky bastard.
We're probably
This is like
I feel like you're
making
gonna
that
win that
Marine
game.
team.
Lucky.
This FA Cup thing is created madness, Terry, man.
Look at the draw. That's what it
There
is.
we go. It is. You're very-
That's Terry that jinxing us talking about bloody.
And in fairness, I will say about United, in the last couple of years, we've had some very good runs in terms of draws. We've been
Yeah,
very,
very lucky.
And then we
very
went 2 seasons having every FA Cup game at home.
At home.
yeah. So yeah, you got to take rough with the smooth. Obviously, we mentioned in Arsenal there, Saka being him. Saka got a lot of praise this weekend. You know, he always gets a lot of scrutiny. Is it about time now, Staffy, that people stop doubting Saka? Now, what I mean by that question, I want to make sure I frame it right. It's absolutely fair to criticize someone when they're in bad form. But is it about time now? Question marks over whether he's really an elite player go away.
Yeah, of course he's doing that at 23, and I feel like people really underestimate these numbers that these all these players, by the way, that we're comparing Foden, Saka, Palmer, all these guys, they're doing all this and they're under 23, 22 years old. Like these guys are all amazing. And Saka, listen, there's a little bit of banter, obviously, where we try to troll Arsenal fans. Oh no, my star boy's better. Da 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 da. I'm gonna do it with Ahmad when he stays consistent. Just bet on that, Kundle. But Saka's absolutely amazing, bro. To be doing what he's doing, to be leading the team the way that he does, and being that important figure for a team that it's been. Let's be honest, we make fun of them for not winning the league, but they've competed for the league 2 seasons in a row. So this kid has been competing for the league since he was 21, and he's been one of their main players, if not their main player. He's one of the captains now, and you could see his growth day after day. Even his personality. Kunle just said it spot on. Even the way he laughed at West Ham fans. These are the things that like his personality is growing in front of us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this whole thing that he's not a big game player and he's not a superstar. He's not a world-class player. If you objectively disagree on what world-class means, that's fine, because some people have higher standards for that word than others. But there is no doubt that Saka is a top player in this league. You know, when you talk about top 10, top 5 players in the league, he is in that conversation. Let's just be honest. So it is what it is. People are going to continue to banter him, but let's just be honest. Most of us would want us in our team. Like
He doesn't get in one team. He's only one team he arguably doesn't get in, and that's Liverpool, just because of Salah, mate. But every other team in the league, he gets in. So for me, you know,
in world football, bro,
he gets a lot of unnecessary double A. Like,
who does which team doesn't he get into?
Barcelona, you probably don't get into right now.
Okay, that's how I can give you that.
I will say that one. But everyone else, yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. I think it's everything for me. It's pardon, you know, the wording, but it's the full package, mate. Because you root for him because of how, you know, how nice. I see someone on YouTube is doing Lad Bible, doing the food tasting thing. And the kid's just likable in every single way. And then, you know, to do it on the pitch as well, you know, it makes you like him. And it's similar to City a few years ago, being a massive United fan, but City had players that you couldn't, you just had to like because of who they were. You know, you couldn't hate them, which is horrible for me to even think, never mind say. So Saka goes right along with that. And, you know, the hard times he had with England, missing the penalty and everything like that, and the test of character to come back from that and improve every single year, just shows you what a quality player and person he is. And I think he could go wherever he wants to, and hopefully maybe not at Arsenal. But I'm saying, I mean in terms of achieving stuff in the game, okay, yeah. Achieving stuff in the game.
I mean, if I was just about to say.
But that's what I mean. I do hope he wins trophies.
I'd love to see Saka at Real Madrid. It'd be great to see him at Real Madrid.
Why would you love to see that?
Barcelona, not Real Madrid.
Why would you like to see that, Terry? Why?
So we can drink the Arsenal tears.
Why would you like to see that? Why? That doesn't even look nice.
Because we'll see your pain.
Saka in all white kit. That looks weird, man.
Playing Arsenal with, I've now got to go to the Emirates twice this season. Once on Wednesday, and then again in January for the FA Cup. And if I didn't have to face a Bukayo Saka, I would be a much happier bunny. Okay, the kid is amazing, and I playfully, and I want to make sure I preface this right. This isn't abuse. Playfully called out Don on Saturday because Don was doing this thing about 6 months ago. And I know Don's game. He's very clever, very smart. And I mean that as a compliment, where he won't say, I think Saka is trash and he's overrated directly like that, because you can hold that against him. What he will do is challenge a few performances, give a kind of vague reason as to why he's bad, but then imply that maybe this form demonstrates what he really is as a player, as opposed to what people think he is. And he sort of does it in a roundabout kind of way. Right. And I've just watched Saka this season. He's been one of the best players in the Premier League, even when Arsenal was struggling. A really good point someone made about Phil Foden the other day, and I'm a big defender of Phil Foden, but when City have been in a slump and needed a player to pull him out of the mire, Phil Foden hasn't done that. Doesn't mean he won't in the future. Doesn't mean he can't do it. You don't write him off yet any season. But Saka's done that as an 18, 19-year-old for Arsenal when they were the pits. He has dragged them through games. He has scored them goals. And there is something that is special about that as well. It's a string to his bow in terms of, in the end of his career, when you do a legacy debate, it's going to be a string to his bow. And it's nice to I don't know. I think a lot of the agendas that I've seen against Saka have started to dissipate this season. And it's good to see, because I feel just like I defend Erling Haaland in the same way as I've defended Mo Salah. I just feel the agenda's. I know there's tribalism and there's banter and there's fun, but some of it I feel has just gone a little bit too far. We're just essentially the conversation is it's like almost stopping us from enjoying what is a sensational, beautiful football player to watch, and everything's sort of mired in that one bad game he had 10 games ago. That's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to use that to beat him over the head with. I just don't. Maybe it's still I'm getting older as well, and the kind of school playground analysis is just becoming a little bit tiresome. You know, there are certain people that do the banter brilliant. If I want a bit of banter, I'm going to go and watch the GOAT. I'm going to go and watch X, who rips into everybody. But we know he means it from a comedic perspective. There's too many people now doing this. They say a like joke, and then you go, "Oh, that's funny," and then no, I actually mean it. It's like, fuck off. You can't mean. You know, comedians don't mean their jokes, right? But some of these guys do. Some of them actually believe this shit. So yeah, I'm glad to see him getting his praise. He deserves it because some of the crap that's been said about this young man is crazy. The only thing remaining now, he's got to start winning some of the major trophies and being an integral part in it. And once he does that, you know, he's going to cement himself as an Arsenal legend, and he's on his way to becoming a Premier League one. He just needs to add those trophies.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you
can't get in the Legends Club without the trophies.
No, 100%. Like we're not Spurs, so we don't have legends without trophies and stuff. That makes sense. But in terms of Saka, he's growing in confidence. Kate, I told you be back to normal this week. Last week we were friends.
Yeah, but come on, you can do better than that. That was poor.
Well, it was anyway. But yeah, but Saka, in terms of his confidence is growing. You can just see it in everything. Like, and I don't think people like give him enough praise for. He missed the decisive penalty in the Euros, and rather than run away from it, he goes, "Boss, I want to be the penalty taker for Arsenal." Like he said, like rather than run away, I want to take penalties now. So for me, rather than running away from your like something that you're scared of, he dived all the way in it, and I think he's benefiting from things like this. And Odegaard being out from that period of time, I think that worked well for his overall game because now he's flourishing even more, being like the difference maker with Odegaard being back in the side. So I'm excited.
I agree. Some super chats here. First one says, you could argue most people didn't expect Chelsea to be near the Champions League places. Caicedo is our most important player and would be much lower without him. I think you make a good point, Nick. What I will say about the debate about him and Gravenberch is that what I liked about listening to it is that nobody was trying to play the other one down. And I am getting to another point, and other YouTube channels are free to do what they want. But I feel like if a debate starts with one person trying to slag off a player that we all know is really good to boost his guy up, I feel like you almost lose by default when you do that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just, Messi's better than Ronaldo. Ronaldo was meaty, bro. As soon as I hear that, it's like you're a dickhead. It's end of conversation. Same, but even at this level of player, like, you can't do it. Guna here, but the Watkins versus Solanke take is wild. Solanke hasn't outscored Watkins in Premier League goals in any of the last 3 seasons. Watkins has more goals and has a better conversion rate this season as well.
So Watkins is more one-dimensional, I think.
Solanke last season had 1 less goal than Ollie Watkins. 1 played for Bournemouth and 1 played for a top 4 team. Are we actually trying to be objective here?
Just to go even further into it, they're using 3 years. So the one he used the year before that, where Bournemouth were a relegation team being managed by Gary O'Neill, and Aston Villa end up finishing in the Europa League spots, or was it Conference? I can't remember. Europa League or Conference League spots. Again, miles of difference. Like, I know what I've seen from Solanke. I know that I would back Solanke to finish a one-on-one chance more than I back Ollie Watkins. Maybe Villa create more chances for Ollie Watkins. Maybe the chances Solanke gets that do his conversion rate in, as shots he maybe shouldn't take. But in my mind, if I was to put a striker through one-on-one, I would rather it be Solanke than Watkins. Watkins just he's got this tendency to miss simple chances.
You know, overrating Solanke, man. I don't understand this, man. I think
he did play for Liverpool, couldn't he? Don't forget that. So that's why Tom's rank.
I mean, I couldn't even raise it for Simon Liverpool. He got 1 goal. I couldn't even raise his finishing.
That's true.
He got you 20 mil, I think, from Chelsea, something like that. No?
Just go check that championship season where I think he had almost 30 goals. And Watkins had a similar season in the championship, and people were raving about that one. How come you rave about that one, but not Solanke's?
Don't bring championship stats to debates.
And I swear, Solanke is 2 years younger than him.
Yeah, Kate.
You know your mic. You've got these bits coming out either side of your mic, and it's making me think that you're wearing a dog collar. You look like a vicar because you're all in black.
It
and
looks
now
like
I've
a
seen
fella
it,
going through,
I can't
yeah.
unsee it, and it's freaking me out.
I'm not a dog collar. It's just the mic. Yeah, no, I have not become a man with a cloth. I haven't. Hi, Terry. Hi, Terry. Nothing to do with football, but what does it represent and what does it mean when you introduce someone by saying man like? Do you know what? I've never been asked to define it, but essentially it's a kind of way of bigging someone up, boosting it, maybe not boosting their ego, but bigging someone up, someone that you like, someone who's a cool guy, someone who's a proper bloke, someone who's a proper man. You say man like. So I like Tom. Tom's a proper geezer. Like he's a real nice lad. So I say man like Tom. If I thought Tom was a dickhead, I'd say Tom Little's here, everyone. Do you know what I mean? So it's a way of, it's like a way of telling everybody, it's a way of introducing someone to you, telling you that he's a really good person without the long speech I just did.
Can't wait for people to go back through all your streams
That's a
now
good
and
one. That's
look
a
how
good
you
one.
introduce people.
That's a very good breakdown, by the way. That was really good.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
That was,
yeah.
I do. Yeah, I get it. By the way, another thing, all right? I didn't realize, I thought Starboy, when it comes to the slang of Starboy, meant like the young person. It doesn't actually mean that. You could be 50 but be the Starboy. Depends what you're doing. My friend who's Jamaican said, no, it's not a young person's thing, it's anybody. And I was like, all right, cool. But you got to learn these things. Get on the Urban Dictionary if you're not sure. If you're not sure, people. But I knew that one because it's quite obvious. But there we go. Are they missing a huge influential player? They are missing a huge influential player in Onana.
Definitely.
Has he been? Yeah, no, I get that. Villa stinkers and the Emery Teta crowd goes quiet. Look, is he the second best manager still in the league? CV would probably dictate yes, maybe, but right now, like honestly, if we all put our hand on our hearts of all the managers in the league, they're all available, and you could pick them for your team. How many are picking Unai Emery first, second, or third? Genuinely.
In our teams.
What, to manage our current clubs?
Hey, you're definitely picking him.
All that clubs are managerless, and all the current managers in the Premier League are available for you to pick. You get to pick your top three choices, and you might, like when you're picking your high school, right? You pick your top three choices. Is Unai Emery in the top three of anyone sitting on this panel right now, or anyone in the audience?
No.
What do you mean no, Kate? You should take him. What
Kate, you got to say yeah. You've definitely got to say
Hey, definitely.
Excuse me, don't jump on me, Staffy.
Gary O'Neill. What are you talking
Wait,
about?
I didn't.
No, but
I
she's probably picked Pep.
Look,
Amorim.
I did a debate on my show today and said I'd take Emery over Ange all day long if Villa sacked him. But if I could pick any three, he doesn't make my top three.
Oh, okay. When you say it like that, yes, of course.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I thought you just wouldn't take Emery, period.
No, all day long.
Hey, guys, our beef is with Tottenham fans, not Kate.
I'm just gonna say,
This is
if
one.
you have Emery right now, you probably win the Europa League.
The rest
That's his
of
bread
them.
and butter.
Sorry, my back's killing me. Kate, these people don't know anything about Spurs. Will a trophy this season with Timo Werner, and I have a good feeling up the Spurs. Phase 2, remember, not phase 5.
But idiot, that's the biggest if I ever seen a gaslight in a super chat, it's that one.
May it continue. City need humbling for being cocky, is what Daniel Ramsden says here.
Hold that number.
I would say you're allowed to be cocky if you win 6 out of 7 titles. In fairness, if we're being fair, I think you're allowed. I think you earn the right to be cocky.
Even
Only
with
two
the
of us have
cheating.
done
Yeah.
that. Only 2 of us have done that.
Boy, chill out.
We'll see if they're legitimate at the end of it.
All for Ahmad. Not right now. Not right now. Not right now.
No chance.
Not right now.
Daniel,
They
mate,
don't really
your
have,
Honda's
history.
safe. Your Honda's safe. Don't worry, Madrid. That you shopping for your Hondas. Don't worry.
Yeah, they don't really have a history with shopping for young African players. They love young Brazilian players.
They're after the low, apparently.
They've not entered the African market.
Take him now. Nobbins, though.
Hello.
You guys now 7 up. 7 games, no win. Obliterated.
God, yeah. That's bad, isn't it?
Obliterated by a brilliant Liverpool team.
Yes.
Your manager getting into, a bit of argy-bargy and showing his fingers to the crowd.
Indeed.
Haaland is very much humble right now.
Indeed.
It's not a great time for City. Break down yesterday's game and your current thoughts around the problems at your beloved Manchester City.
Yeah, no, for sure. First thing to say, Liverpool were genuinely brilliant. I think even if City lined up how I would have lined up, and even if they played semi-competently, I still think Liverpool would have probably got the win because like Van Dijk was just imperious. It feels like he's just getting better as the years go by. So yeah, absolutely fair play to Liverpool. Their midfield absolutely bullied us. You know, Szoboszlai and Gravenberch in particular. It's just a mismatch in the centre. Salah is Salah. Even like on a game where maybe on an individual level it wasn't a brilliant performance, he still gets a goal and an assist. And that ball to Gakpo was fantastic. So yeah, I just want to say Liverpool definitely deserved the win, and they should have won. They should have scored like 5 goals, maybe even 6. Like Van Dijk should have had a hat trick of headers, for example. Salah missed a 1v1. I think, but for a really good Núñez block, Diaz or Gakpo should have had a goal as well. So yeah. But City, so obviously Liverpool did really well and their pressing was brilliant, etc. But City didn't help themselves from my perspective. I was talking about this with Tom earlier. In the last 4 games, City have had 4 different systems deployed. That tells me that Pep's confused and he doesn't quite know what he doesn't know what should be working or what is working. We played a different system to how we played against Brighton, to how we played against Feyenoord, to how we played against Spurs, to now comes to the first half against Liverpool, where we play a system I've literally never seen City do before. I have seen a Kanji push up to the midfield, which was insane, but we didn't actually play a right winger in that first half.
I saw it coming,
do you want to say something?
Yeah, I saw it coming, man. Because as soon as the final whistle went at the Etihad when you drew against us, I could see you lot were rattled. Nobody wanted to hear it then, but I could see like the whole team. The whole team looked different. They're a little bit different to what we've seen.
We're not going to put that draw down to why we've changed system 4 games in a row. It doesn't all have to be about you. I know you want to be the main character here. It doesn't have to all be about you or Arsenal. So
that was the beginning of the rattling. If anything,
it was Brighton that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because since Brighton, it's been changed system against Spurs, changed system against Feyenoord, now changed system against Liverpool. Arsenal aren't the reason why we rattled you, bro. We didn't play an actual right winger against Liverpool.
Everything I said that was going to happen since that game has started to happen. So,
because we didn't have, thank you. So because we didn't have like a right winger, outside such as being poor defensively, etc., it meant that on the rare occasions where it came to like our attacking midfielders, they would look up, and there's nothing going on the right because, as I've just said, there was no right winger. They look up to Haaland. He's being double marked by Van Dijk and Gomez, and then latterly Kwanzaa. And then they go, and then the only option is go backwards, go sideways, or who's our saviour on the left? Oh, it's Matheus Núñez, who isn't a winger. So it's not his fault when he receives the ball and stands up Trent, and Trent's like looking at him unbothered, going, right, whatever, you're not going to beat me. No one's making a run in behind. So it means that you, by definition, can't actually create anything. So, in my opinion, Pep set City up to fail. I did not understand it at all. It was bad, to be honest, really bad. I could just tell from the line. I was like, right, we've got 2 actual attackers in this team. This is going to be horrendous. And indeed it was. It only improved when our wingers actually came on. Now, all of a sudden, there's options to hit. But then defence capitulated, conceded another goal, and then that's game. So, I thought Pep got a lot wrong in terms of the lineup, in terms of the setup. But Liverpool also got a lot right, and we deserve to lose by about 5-0. So that's my sort of take on the game.
What do you make of Pep Guardiola's reaction to the Liverpool fans? Is he need to get a thicker skin, do you think?
I don't know. I think that it's not just like playful banter, to be fair. I think that, a lot of people have criticised Pep for being like robotic, and City in general for not having like a personality, etc. And he does like a little playful. I think that's just like a playful thing, to be honest. And the fans were giving it to him, so he gave a little bit back. I don't know if there's too much to read into it, to be honest. I think it's losing the plot generally from a tactical perspective, but I don't know if that moment in particular matters too much.
I don't think anyone ever does that sign when they're feeling confident about their situation, though, to be fair, Nobbins. I think it's more of he's rattled, and the Liverpool fans got to him. So as a retaliation, he thought, yeah, I need to remind them.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's like a playful, you give me some, I'll give you some sort of thing. I don't think it's like a big issue.
That's shade
quite-
of
That's
of
not
Jose
a
Mourinho,
pet
though.
thing. He's usually quite
Yeah.
calm then, man.
Yeah,
think
but
that's more
neither's
worrying.
not winning 7 in a row, is it? And so it's like different times.
I definitely think he's
That's
losing
why
the
he
plot.
reacted. Yeah.
He's definitely losing the plot a bit, as I say. Like, you look at the last 3 games, right? Liverpool had him, and by the way, I think Arsenal do play a role in this. And I was saying earlier around they broke them. But listening to what you said, Nobbins, it sounds like Arsenal kind of broke you, killed you. Spurs put you in the furnace, and Liverpool just scattered your ashes at sea. Like that's like your title charge is done, right? If you look at the last, and this is for me, this is about this will come up later on in the legacy debates, right? I hope the overlap bring this up the next time they bring up that conversation. 3 games running, we have seen your manager do things that we've never seen Sir Alex Ferguson do under pressure. Scratch his balls violently during a game out of frustration, like pull on himself, like when a kid's being, when a little kid gets angry and he starts pulling on himself, right? He did that. Secondly, he started scratching chunks of skin off of his face. And then yesterday, he starts, he said, 6-6. And then he stupidly after the game says, I don't know why they're giving me stick for. I've won 6 Premier Leagues more than in their club's history. Well, that isn't true. They've got 19 league titles. So he is losing it a little bit. He's losing his composure. And I don't think that's helping your team either. I get Rodri's out. I get that you haven't been that great in the transfer window. But I think your players are maybe looking at your manager and thinking, who the fuck's is this Pep's brother? Like, who is this guy? He's normally so cool, calm, collected, a little salty when they lose a game. But I honestly think you're right, Nobbins. I think he's losing his footballing marbles.
Yeah.
Some say it's the ghost of Ten Hag, by the way, Nobbins. You know, he left the city, but
one body to another, yeah.
Yeah, one body to another. Yeah. But I actually want to ask you something, Nobbins,
Sure.
about your team, because I know you give honest answers. You mentioned something very important. You mentioned that Liverpool should have scored about 5 yesterday, and I agree with you. I mean, I said it jokingly in the chat yesterday. When I see De Gea, I'm gonna have a word with him, because you guys conceded more XG yesterday to Liverpool. I think it was like 3.5, and they only scored twice. Liverpool against us, when they beat us 7, they only created like 2 point something. So that's De Gea. When I see you, wallah, it's on site. But the fact that you guys
the
are
whole
dropped
team,
off,
Staffy, not just De Gea, the whole team on that one. Come on.
more De Gea, bro. Trust me, bro. But anyways, the fact that you're just conceding so much, I think you're arguably one of the worst defensive teams in the league right now. It's just so easy to attack against you. And your analysis was very good on the attack. I saw Nunes playing left wing, and I was just so confused. I was like, why is he playing midfielders in the wing? You're just keeping the ball, but you're not really creating anything. Do you think, and that's been my opinion, so I want to know if you share the same thoughts as me. Are you finally seeing the lack of reinforcement over the last couple of years in terms of recruitment versus how good you were over like the last decade as an example? Is it finally catching up to you, and you're seeing it reflect on you now? Because you just said, like, you don't even think Pep knows his best 11 right now, and he's trying so many things and it's not working.
Yeah, well, 100%. I think that like it even came out like after, because there was like a documentary recently, after the treble winning year, our board described that window as like a chaotic and really bad, because all of a sudden, like, lots of players want to stay, they want to have more money. Realistic, obviously, hindsight's a thing, but realistically, a rebuild should have happened then after we won the treble. In my view, we got away with it last year, and I've been on record saying this many times. I don't think Pep was particularly good tactically last year either. I think that we got very fortunate that we had some ridiculous individual performances last season. Obviously, Rodri being available was also a factor. And now we're seeing the impact where that doesn't happen, where like you can't like XG cheat your way to victory, or you don't have any solidity in midfield. 100%. I expect this to be basically a transitional year now. In my view, City are so far beyond being in the title race. Again, in fairness, they've won quite a lot, so you can't get too angry. But I view this as basically a transitional year, and then I think that we will maybe move on like 5+ players in the summer. And I think that there'll be a big rebuild. I'm looking at players, like Stones who can't stay fit. Genuinely,
awful signing.
And
no goal in a year, bruv.
That pains me to say, because I'm still a big fan of Grealish, but again, that might have to be a thing. Players like Kovacic, Gundogan.
Do you like Grealish, or do you like his calves? Which is it?
Why
Is it-
can't it be both? Why can't it be both? Yeah. So I think that's going to be what's going to have to happen. We haven't had. I mean, for example, we won the net spend trophy, last summer. So City haven't had a massive window in a while. I feel like since like 17-18 was the last truly mental window in terms of like a full on rebuild. So I do anticipate this summer and winter combined being that. But yeah, Staff is absolutely right. We do need a rebuild. We needed it last summer, last season. We got away with it. That can't happen 2 seasons in a row. That's why I was adamant we need someone like Bruno Guimaraes to come in, and that didn't happen. And now we're suffering the consequences, and we've only got ourselves to blame, to be honest.
Nobbins.
Yeah. Kundle.
Yeah. Do you think, is it now that you think you need the rebuild in terms of after witnessing all these losses, or at the start of the season you were like, this team is not strong enough to win the Premier League, we need to sign more?
So in the summer, I like made a video where I said we need a Bruno Guimaraes type player. As it was, we were happy to go with no one, and we had Gundogan on a short term. Obviously, like Gundogan hasn't really hit the ground running. So yeah, this isn't me being reactive, saying,
Gundogan hasn't done any running, let alone hit the ground.
Well, indeed, yeah. So this isn't me being reactive and just like reacting to these games. I said in the summer, like, if we don't, we're not going to be able to get away with not replacing Gundogan 2 seasons in a row. We got away with it last season, and that was fine and dandy, and that was lovely. But it's just not sustainable to do it again. And obviously, Rodri's. Yeah, but it clearly, again, hindsight's a thing. But like, Gundogan clearly peaked in like the treble winning year. And even though he played really well for Barcelona and Germany last season, so I'm still a little bit confused as to what's happening there. But yeah, we needed that to happen. Obviously, Rodri's injury hasn't helped, but it's no excuse, and it's not good enough, to be honest, by whoever decided that was the case, whether it was the board, whether it was Pep, whoever.
I mean, it's really funny that Gundogan isn't good enough to be the Gundogan replacement.
No, indeed, yeah, and that's also the weird thing, because like Pep, because like when we signed him, in the short term thing, I was under the impression he was being brought in to be like a Rodri alternative. But then Pep came out, like a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, I signed Gundogan to be an attacking midfielder. And I'm having to play him in the 6."
Yeah, he's just confused, bro.
Yeah, and I'm perplexed as to that. That makes, if that was the idea of the signing.
He said that he was this before or after he went on that weird tirade where he said, "I like my team. We need these losses just to keep losing."
Mental health is a real thing. Someone check on
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was in the wake of Kovacic getting injured, and then when Gundogan was forced to play there, and Pep said, "This isn't what I want. So I want to play Gundogan more advanced." And I think that's a mental thing to say.
Mad as well, and this is, I think he angered the football gods. Have been very kind to Pep over in his career. Where I think when Spurs knocked him out the League Cup, which was the first of these defeats, wasn't it? It was the first one in this 7-game run of no wins. When he said basically along the lines of, "Yes, first win since the FA Cup final, and we were drunk, we were still hungover, and the story isn't." Basically said the story isn't Spurs winning, it's us losing. And I just thought that's a very ungracious and disrespectful way to speak. And the football gods have smited him down for that comment.
He's definitely had a knock on the head, because when did he become French? Sarah, I don't know.
Yeah, I started doing it right, and I could hear myself in this room, and I went, my brain went, "Shut up and just speak normally, mate."
No, Nobbins, sorry, can I quickly just say, when are we expecting these charges, the results of these charges? Because you're talking about rebuilds, but I mean, if you're get relegated, that ain't gonna happen, is it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if City get found guilty and relegated, then this all becomes moot. Obviously, yeah. So I'm sort of assuming that that doesn't happen. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Assuming is a dangerous game.
Yeah, makes an ass of you and me there. Nobbins, you know better there.
I can't wait for the results.
Are we going to discuss Philip at some point today?
We can, because I want to get a little bit of Liverpool. We've got 15 minutes left. But yes, Phil Foden is you want to speak about, Kundle? Go on.
Oh, yeah. Phil. Oh, right. Sorry.
You were quite defensive about him a few weeks ago when he was.
Sorry, speaking of Phil Foden, I did crack up laughing yesterday. Someone left me a comment saying, "Terry, you've got to stop telling." It started really serious. Terry, you've got to stop telling everybody that Pep scratch chunks out of his face. He didn't, and it's disrespectful to misrepresent the truth. And I thought, oh God, does it come out why it happened? And is it a really bad thing? And he turned around and goes, we all know the truth. Phil Foden's mum did it. These are the best comments I've ever had on my YouTube channel. Anyway, so Finlay, back to you, my man. Back to you. Sorry.
Yeah, like sure. We need to discuss the fall off from PFA Player of the Year to stinking up the place.
Your obsession knows no bounds. You're just like a Gal 2.0.
It's only
I was
Arsenal
about to say,
fans
it's
as well.
new here.
It's
so
only
funny.
Arsenal fans who have this problem.
Hey. Why is it a problem to discuss a player's bad form? I don't understand.
It's not a problem, but when it's not even a top 3 issue, then it becomes blatantly an intellectually dishonest starting point. Kunle, I will traverse this path with you, but I already know that this isn't going to be a genuine debate because you have a preconceived notion of what your end point is. So we can do this song and dance, and I can tell you exactly why you're wrong, because we can have a lovely time about that. But your starting point is false because again, there are so many other issues at City which actually matter.
Nobbins, what am I wrong about? Is Phil Foden performing at the level he was performing last season?
No.
So what am I wrong about that I've said so far?
The fact that we weren't even going to bring him up, the fact that you put it in the private chat to alert Terry to the fact that we should be talking about this, the fact that it got ignored and you still wanted to make a song and dance about it tells me that this is not an honest starting point. You have a bias, you have a prejudice to this player. So once again, it is a futile endeavor. So the fact is you are trying to frame it like as the biggest issue. And if it was the biggest issue, I would be the first person to say Phil should be benched because I'm not a Phil Foden fan. I could care less about Foden's performances. I'm a Manchester City fan. You spent 5
minutes defending him, but you care less about Foden's performance.
No, what I'm doing is I'm trying to direct you to the actual issues at City.
No, but I'm asking you a question, and you're trying to direct me to ask you a different question. Does that ever make sense?
I told you that we can do this, but I'm just letting you know. I'm letting the panel know. I'm letting the chats know.
We don't need
this isn't an honest discussion.
So we can do this little media argument about Philip Foden.
This isn't an honest discussion, so I don't really know what the point is. We can do it. But again, if you're watching that game against Liverpool, if you're watching any other game this season and your first thought is, why aren't we talking about Foden? That just tells me that your starting point is flawed.
Nobbins.
I'm not going to lie. I wanted to talk about Liverpool and why they're not
quickly, in response, hold on, Staffy. In response to Nobbins said, like, Nobbins, if someone wins PFA Player of the Year last season, the spotlight's on him, right? The drop-off of his form last season to this season has been massive. So why shouldn't we talk about it? Because we were praising him all last season when he was hitting the heights. He's not hitting the heights now. Why can't I address it? Why can't I? Because there's 8 other issues with
But that's
City.
not what I said, Kunle. That's not what I said.
I want to discuss the Foden issue, and you don't want to. That's the issue.
I can discuss it. My main issue is I know why he wants to discuss it. The problem is, the exact wording there, the Foden issue. That is objectively incorrect in itself. Because it isn't a Foden issue. But Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, Kovacic, whoever, these lads have not forgotten how to pass a football, right? And yet, at Anfield, they could not pass a football. So one of two things is happening here. Either, overnight, essentially, all of City's players have turned to shit, unlikely, or there is a wider issue at play, and it is actually the framework and the structure of City, which is inherently flawed. Which do you think is more likely, Kunle? The former or the latter?
I don't know, man. I don't have
Nobbins, can I give Kunle the answer that he wants from you? If that's okay.
Sure.
Yes, I just want an explanation.
No. Yes, Kunle, Saka is better than Foden. There we go.
Oh, no. That's
what you wanted.
That's
what you wanted.
We know what it is.
That's silly.
And you're probably right now.
Indeed.
Before the end of the show, we have to spend a bit of time talking about Liverpool.
Yay!
I'd like a question to begin with, Tom. We did spend an hour and a half talking about them yesterday after the game. So it's not like the Terrace has done no time on them. Plus, my 2 videos today were predominantly about Liverpool. But are you now the clear favourites in your opinion with how brilliant you look, the lead at the top of the league, the manager who's won trophies before, the club structure, and a squad full of world-class players? You must be looking at the way you're playing and everything else I just mentioned, thinking the titles, ours to
Say
lose.
it, Tom. Say it. Say your favourites. Come on, you know you want to.
I so don't want to, but you know, we are the favourite. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win the league. I've made that clear that I need to get past a couple of games in my mind for that. But we're definitely the favourites at this point. You know, a 9-point gap at the. You know, we didn't even have this big a gap at this point when we actually won the title. So we're in a very, very strong position. If we fail to win the title at this point, I'll be massively, massively, massively disappointed. In my mind, I want to get through. Obviously, we've got a big week coming up against Newcastle and Everton. Then, superstitiously, I want to beat Leicester at home on Boxing Day, and I want to beat United at home in January because the year that we won the title.
That's a month from now. Don't worry about us.
No. The reason I want to do that is because the year we won the title, those two were the big games that made everyone believe. So I want to do it again this time, so we can just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's superstition in me. Realistically, we got to get through this month. We got to get through this month. You know, we're really hit by injuries at the minute. You know, we've only got 5 fit defenders. 1 left back, 1 right back, 3 centre backs, and one of them centre backs is going to have to do a job everywhere on the pitch. Knowing our luck with Gomez, but we've got a lot of confidence in the team at the minute. You know, Mohamed Salah's performing like the best player in the world. Virgil van Dijk is Marshall in the back line. The midfield 4-5 options that we got, fantastic. The attack, I mean, we've made Nunes look like a decent striker. I didn't think that was possible. You know, we've got Diaz and Gakpo linking up well together. It's just a very, very positive time at the football club, and all credit goes to Arne Slot for this, because not even the most mental Liverpool fan could have seen this coming when he was appointed. No one would have foreseen this. I mean, in his first season, he's beaten Man City, Real Madrid, Man United, Chelsea, Bayer Leverkusen, and he's got a draw away at Arsenal, which we didn't even do last year. He's broken pretty much every record that any new Liverpool manager had. Is now Arne Slot's. We're going well in the Champions League, and yesterday was probably the best performance we've ever had against City in the Pep era, in terms of just the domination of them. Like, for the first half an hour, you would have been forgiven for thinking City were, I don't know, Southampton or something. Yeah. We didn't let them out. We didn't let them do anything. We should, as Nobbins said, we should have had more than one. Oh my God, some of the chances
had 4,
that we missed.
I reckon. Genuinely 4.
Some of the chances that we missed. I mean, for how strong he is in the air, Virgil van Dijk isn't half inconsistent in front of goal. It's mental to me, but you know, we move on. We focus on Newcastle midweek, getting through these games now. And
is that home or away?
Both Newcastle and Everton are away.
Okay, I mean,
we've only got 2 home games this month, so all of them are away.
I want to ask you a question, Tom, and it won't be agenda driven, I promise. Number one, I appreciate the fact that you could say confidently that you are the favorites right now, because anyone with a brain would say the same with the form that you're in. You didn't make no weird animal analogies about leopards and tigers and cheetahs, so I do appreciate that. But I want to ask you something that it's a bit negative, so it might bother you a little bit. You spoke about Mo Salah, and I get accused a lot of not defending my countryman. I mean, it's been obvious. He just plays for Liverpool and he cooks me every season, so I can't really defend him.
It's like trauma, isn't it?
Yeah, but I got to speak about him right now, because yesterday he broke another record, by the way. He now has the most goals and assists in a game in the Premier League history. That was previously held by Rooney. He had 35 games where he where he scored and assisted in the same game. Salah now broke that, and he's at 36. He's broken a few records this season. Yeah, there's news coming out today that if he gets an extension, is going to be 1 year. I'll say it for you, because you guys don't want to say it. Mohamed Salah is Mohamed Salah is the best player in Liverpool history, in their Premier League era for sure. But I think for the numbers that he's put over the last, 8 or 9 years, this guy's the best player you've ever had. He's taken you to success that you didn't taste for about 30 years. If this guy, and I'm sorry to make it like this, if this guy was a homeboy from Liverpool, he'd be getting talked about a lot different. He would literally be in the GOAT conversations. If his name was Steven Gerrard with these numbers and these trophies, he would be talked about being the GOAT of the Premier League. They would be comparing him not to the best player in their club history. They'd be comparing him to Thierry Henry, if not better than Thierry Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's I'm not gonna lie, I feel like he's just twerking for a contract at this point. He just changed his profile picture on Twitter from the celebration that he had yesterday. He's coming out in press conferences and interviews talking about how he wants a contract. And the way that they're treating him, bro, I'm not going to lie. For him to do all he did for Liverpool over the last 8-9 years, and he's being pushed out it's looking like it, at least, that's being pushed out of the club the way he did. I'm not gonna lie, it's nothing short of disgraceful. If he was from the city and if he wasn't an Egyptian that just came to the city about 9 years ago, they would have never done that to him.
Right.
I just want your honest opinion on that, if I'm being honest here.
I don't disagree on the Salah legacy point. I've always been one of the ones who's quite happy to speak on it, and I made it very clear that Gerrard and Salah's legacy is different for different reasons. But if Salah was to add a Premier League title this year, I'd put him ahead of Gerrard in terms, because it's twice. It's consistency. It's getting us over the line multiple times for the one thing that we hadn't had. Regarding his contract, I think it's a mixture of. I don't think it's as bad as it's being made out. I think this is a lot of media circus on both sides. I do think it should have been sorted before this, and it's down to how poorly ran the football club was for a couple of years to get it to this point where we've got 3 players.
How much worse can it be than that, though, Tom? How much worse can it be than leaving it till this long? That's bad enough, no?
I mean, worse would be him going. He's not gone yet.
Of course, but he's running down his contract right now. You guys have offered him nothing. I don't know how.
I mean, if you want him worse would be the situation Trent's in, where Salah wants to stay. Doesn't look like Trent wants to stay. So at least with Salah, I know that he loves the football club.
But then you wouldn't be expecting a contract to be offered if he wanted to leave, and Mo Salah wouldn't be. The fact that Mo Salah's talking about it and essentially saying, "I want to be here," they're just not offering me the right time or the right amount of money. I do think it's crazy, man, and it's a weird thing. I get why a lot of Liverpool fans. I saw James Redmond say it. I know that. I've seen a lot of saying, please don't talk about it, Mo, because I know that you guys don't want any negativity to overshadow how brilliantly you're playing right now. But there are some fans that are going to look at this, and a lot of football fans look beyond the end of the season they're in. And I just don't see you replacing him. He's so good. The likelihood of his replacement being as good or better is so low that it's almost you need to try to squeeze every bit of quality out of this man, because once he's gone, he's gone. You know, it's conceivable that Man United never get a right winger anywhere near Ronaldo's level again in my lifetime. Considering we've only ever had him and Best at that level in 140 years, it's not inconceivable to go another 70 years without a player of that level, right? And Mo Salah's that for you. You may never get a player as good as this again. I feel like you guys are making such... I'm happy you're making it if he leaves. Because if him and Trent and VVD was to leave...
No,
it's really... not just that, Terry. It's not just
that. He's supposed to retire at Liverpool, let's be honest. He's supposed to retire there.
Yeah, bro, listen, he loves it there. And I hate it because it looks like he just wants to stay there as long as he could kick a ball and he could run. So I hate that because I look at him and, I mean, it's not hard to be remembered because he takes his jersey off every time he gets a chance to. You can see that he's fitter than a 22, 23-year-old. So it's not looking like he's slowing anytime soon. But last year, if you would have sold him, I would have understood, because I think, was it last season or the season before? I think it was season before. Sorry. You got offered ridiculous money from Saudi Arabia. They were just going through a crazy overhaul, buying everyone to promote their league. They were offering insane wages that would have been life-changing for him for generations to come. And you would have made a proper rebuild out of it. So I would have understood if you spoke to them and said, listen, Salah, you've done all this for us, but we cannot turn down 200 million that will benefit the future of this club. It's best that we part ways here. He will be potentially leaving on a free. So it's not like economically it even makes sense for you. The only reason people are saying that he might leave is because of the wages he will be demanding versus how many years he has left. So the argument is that we're looking for the next Salah. Why can't you keep Salah while looking for the next Salah? You keep him, by the way. You get Omar Marmoush from the German league right away because he wants to play with
I know we've been in the situation before with Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah knows the fans adore him, and him and his agents are very smart, and they know how to use the media sex. I mean, the story today that come out, he's willing to accept a 1-year deal, but the club haven't done that yet. But when you actually dive into it, the guy who wrote the article is the same guy who's just wrote his autobiography. So there's already a connection there in this, and I've been in the situation before with other players like Henderson doing the same thing. I think it'll get sorted. I've maintained all season. I think Van Dijk and Salah sign on, but Trent leaves. And my feeling hasn't really changed. I'd be disappointed if Trent went. To be honest, no, I'd be livid with him if he went. He'd be dead to me. He'd be the worst one of the lot. But it is also kind of like he would be. He's worse than McManaman, worse than Owen.
No, I do get it. I remember McManaman's one. Just out of interest of time, guys, because I've got a taxi coming, so I need to just get these super chats done here. It says, "Why is there a weird desperation to crown Liverpool champions 13 games in? Why do these delusional Liverpool fans want pressure? 25 games to go." I don't think it's about that. I think it's around honest conversations and who are the favourites from this point. Doesn't mean, I said it yesterday, this idea that there's no pressure on Arsenal from this point, no pressure on City from this point to get better, is ridiculous. There's massive pressure on all of the clubs. There's no doubt about it. You can. Yes, you got incredibly lucky last season. Spurs basically gave you the trophy, a flying karate kick. Liverpool not given a penalty for. I come in peace. Old Kate, be looking hella dangerous and hella sexy is what's been said here. Jesus Christ. The red lipsticks proves that London is red and London looks proper on you, girl. Come on, you.
Get off your burner, Jim.
Her husband's also super chatted saying Nobbins, Kate just told me you're a good guy and told me off for my last super chat, but I stick by my stick to being humble. It's better. Congrats. Oh yeah, because he called you a posh boy last time.
Yeah, he did. I texted him and told him off. I said, "Don't you be rude to Nobbins. He's lovely."
Oh, you got put in the doghouse. You got put in the doghouse.
Good for you, Nobbs.
Yeah, look at that. Now, listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show today. Please hit the like and share button before you leave. I think this video is so go and support that show. Staffy, Nobbins, Kate, Kundle, Tom, Double A, thank you all very much for coming on and having your say. We're back tomorrow with more content, including it's going to be a great cooking of Lewis. 3:30 on Straight Facts right here on the Football Terrace. Make sure you're here. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.